Alumni Stadium on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Tuskegee, Alabama, home to the Tuskegee Golden Tigers. They take on their arch rivals from just 2 hours up the interstate, Miles Golden Bears. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Saturday of Black College Football on NBC. Along with my partner, Mark Gray, I'm Dwayne Ballin. What we have here, partner, is a good old-fashioned neighborhood backyard brawl.
It's kind of like the Hatfields and the McCoys of the SIAC, DB. Two teams with such geographic proximity to one another, and there is a bitter dislike towards each other. Let me tell you something. Miles has come down here with a chip on their shoulder. They would love nothing more than to upset Tuskegee today.
Time to take a look at our athletic players of the game, beginning with one man who has one gear for the visitors on defense.
Well, we're talking about Joe Killens, and what a great name for a linebacker, Joe Killens. Let me tell you, this guy is expected to have a big game today. If Miles is going to have any chance to win the contest, he's expected to be all over the field, get about 10 tackles. Hopefully he can get a couple of sacks. He's got a tall order against a very tough Tuskegee offense.
And on the other side of the ball, maybe the surprise of the conference.
Well, Cortland Florence certainly is. He started number 2 on the depth chart here in Tuskegee, and he's been the dominant offensive performer for the Golden Tigers attack, averaging over 149 yards per game. He had 136 yards per a game last week, and he scored the winning touchdown in overtime. Hey, if number 3 gets off for the Golden Tigers, it's going to be a long afternoon for the Golden Bears. We got a lot of goal going on here.
Yes, we do, and that brings us to the keys to winning.
Well, when you look at the keys to winning for this particular contest, it starts for Miles. They have got to do a better job. They've got to finish the game strong. They've got to, when they get inside the, well, as far as Tuskegee is concerned, they've got to finish inside the red zone. They've got to maximize their offensive efficiency inside the 20-yard line heading to the end zone, and their defense has to maintain the tenacity and the toughness that has them a 3-time champion, as well as a team that's expected to win again this year. As far as Miles is concerned, they've got to contain Cortland Florence. If he's up over 149 yards, it's going to be a long afternoon, and they've got to finish strong. This is a team that has not scored a point in the fourth quarter all season, and I submit to you today, if they shut out again here today, they're going home with an L.
Well, the Tuskegee students saw their Golden Tigers win last year in Miles College at Birmingham. The Golden Bears hope to return the favor. Kickoff when we come back. Part by the Verizon Reads program. Welcome back to Abbott Memorial Stadium on the campus of Tuskegee University here. Mark Gray, there was an interesting occurrence just before the toss.
Well, we said that Miles came into Tuskegee this afternoon to face Rick Comegee's team with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. During the coin toss, they turned their backs to Tuskegee. So you talk about having an edge, there's an edge already, and it's coming from the team wearing purple and gold.
You saw Comegee now in his 7th season, 57-16 as head coach of Tuskegee. He's led them to a mythical national championship. Comes in having won 2 consecutive SIAC championships. His program is the program that all others aspire to in this conference at the moment.
Well, you know, success breeds success, and this is a guy who was defensive coordinator for Florida A&M's head coach Billy Joe when they were in Central State in Ohio. They won an NAIA national championship as well, so you can make the argument that there's a certain amount of championship pedigree on the Tuskegee sideline in the person of Coach Comegee.
And his counterpart across the way is Wade Streeter, who came out of Southern in 1986. He's in his 2nd season, and he feels that he has Miles headed in the right direction.
Well, you talk to people in the conference, and Miles is no longer the gimme. There was a stretch for about 10 years in the SIAC where if you wanted a homecoming opponent and you wanted to guarantee a victory, you would schedule Miles College. Such is not the case any longer.
Miles has won the toss and elected to receive. Back to receive it are Tony Brown and Charlie Rollins. Rollins is the more dangerous one, number 3.
There's a certain level of electricity in the air that's cutting through the humidity here.
Travis Gums set to kick off. And we're underway from Tuskegee, Alabama. Elliott Webster up to the 34-yard line on the return for Miles College, which is where the Golden Bears will begin their offensive set. Take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Verizon. Perry Braxton, Tyrone Coleman, Frank Adair, Clifford Matthews. You will hear that name a lot. The tight end, Warren Baldwin. The offensive line, Reginald Giles, Lavelle Willis, Marvin Irvin, who is all conference, Jamel Bell, and Anthony Ladner.
This is a big physical offensive front at Miles. I mean, you look across their line, it goes... Well, and there's a very talented quarterback right there, Nicholas Smith from Southwest DeKalb High School in the Atlanta metropolitan area. But getting back to that offensive line, they're big kids, 270, 313 in the middle with Irving, 272 is Willis, 265 is Reginald Giles. That's almost a Division I size-wise offensive line.
Wade Streeter told us last night that this young man is the barometer for this team. Watch what he does. As he goes, so go the Golden Bears. First and 10 from the 34-yard line. Bears begin on the ground. Maybe a pickup of 2 before the Golden Tigers respond. Starting lineups defensively brought to you by Verizon. For Tuskegee, Brumbaugh, Joyce, Babin, Antonio Knox. The backers, Nickerson, Benz, Nathaniel Jones. There was a question as to whether or not Jones would even play today. The secondary, Walker, Florence, Brunson, and Stanton. Second and 10 from the 37-yard line. Make it 2nd and 6, pick up a 4 on the previous play. Smith operating out of the shotgun. There are whistles on the field.
And we got to delay a game already, and maybe a little bit of confusion by Miles. That is their band that you hear in the background. The band is about 250 members strong now, and they are definitely giving it up, so to speak.
Loss of yardage makes it 2nd and 11 from the 33. Opening moments of this Hewood rivalry. On the ground, Miles keeps it. Tyrone Coleman around the left side, where he's quickly met by what is a very impressive Tuskegee defense.
Well, the Tuskegee defense is impressive, but you appreciate the game strategy in establishing the run by Coach Streeter, because they're trying to establish the center. They're trying to soften Tuskegee up in the middle, going behind the preseason All-American Marvin Irving, and that'll be a battle to watch. Number 74 in the middle of the Tuskegee line, the center. If he can get good surge at the point of attack, they'll be good all day.
Smith on 3rd down, to the air, in traffic. He was looking for Frank Adair, but Adair had 2 crimson-clad escorts.
Well, that was a good job of Tuskegee in the cover 2 situation where you had the safety coming up and the linebackers dropping back. But it was a bad read by the quarterback, and that's the dilemma that Nick Smith is facing right now. His learning curve has to increase. Well, he played in Atlanta at Southwest DeKalb, which is a great program that's been the home to the likes of Quincy Carter. He played tight end. He's making the transition to signal caller, and in that situation, you saw the dilemma on a bad read.
Smiley back to punt. And he gets it off. What a return by Jeffrey Stanton, who was an all-conference return man for the SIAC, 5'11", 188-pound senior. He can be electrifying on special teams.
Well, you can see right there, broke a couple of tackles, and he found another gear to get down the sideline. Had it not been for the containment, he's still running right now.
So Terrence Jones will bring on the Tuskegee Golden Tigers offense. 5'11", 180-pound junior quarterback from Norman Park, Georgia.
And again, a no huddle. We saw Billy Joe's team open in no huddle last week. Tuskegee opens up in no huddle today.
Tigers begin at their own 49-yard. Good field position. Turning it upfield is Cortland Florence, the man we talked about at the top of the telecast. And his story is very, very interesting in that he wasn't expected to play much going into the season.
It's amazing how things change after camp.
Tuskegee starting lineups, the offensive backs and receivers, Nicholson, the aforementioned Florence, Kimball, Horton, and Elliott.
Kimball's an all-conference preseason performer.
An impressive line for Jones to work behind Lawrence, Parker, Thornton, Poe, and Elliott.
Now, you talk about a huge line. They're averaging about 6'2", 320.
Pick up a 5 on the play, second down. Throwing as Jones, receiver cannot hold on to it, a bit high along the sidelines.
Trying a little out pattern to Kimball, and it was just a little high. And this guy, Kimball, is one of the more dangerous receivers in the SIAC, averaging over 16 yards a catch.
Defensive line for Miles, Parker, Biner, Goggins, and Robinson are the 4 up front. The backers, Killens, Oliver, Mitchell.
John Oliver is an unheralded one.
Secondary, Hopkins, Hampton, Allen, and Phillips. On 3rd and 5, again to the air goes Jones. Has a receiver, has it, defender falls down. And a big pickup for James Lewis, a first down, and Tuskegee comes up with a big play to get within striking distance.
Well, I think that's Johnny Hopkins, the senior cornerback who missed the tackle. It's nothing fancy. It's just a straight out. He clears out, and Hopkins has an opportunity to make that tackle, and he doesn't. And once he breaks containment there, he's off to the races down the near sideline. That's interesting. They're forcing the cornerbacks already to play in space. They've got some separation back there right now. When you're out there one-on-one and you force a team to play in space, they got to make the mano-a-mano play. That time Hopkins doesn't, and it's a big first down.
27-yard pickup on the play. They elect to go to the ground with the ball inside the 20-yard line. This is not the way Wade Streeter wanted his defense to begin. He wanted them to set a tone.
Well, you got a senior cornerback on a third down situation and a one-on-one situation. He has to make the tackle. And how big that play was. They've done a pretty good job in pursuit in this initial series in terms of forcing Cortland Florence to cut back. But their secondary's got to tighten up.
Pickup of 3 on the play, 2nd and 7 from the 17-yard line. Jones out of the shotgun, looking to the air again. And once again, he finds Kellen Kimball, the all-conference senior from Birmingham.
And I got to tell you something. Kimball did a whole lot of dancing, and he got issued to the turf with a certain amount of vehemence that time by James Biner, the defensive tackle, getting out there and delivering a big-time stick. I mean, he just cleaned the clock of Kimball driving him to the turf. There's nothing fancy with what Tuskegee's doing offensively in terms of their pass routes right now.
This is where Tuskegee had problems last week against Benedict, scoring.
3 times they turned the ball over in the red zone area. They've got to finish in the red.
3rd down. Jones under pressure, steps up, avoids the rush, has a man open, a little high. Defenders were there to make sure nothing happened. Looking for Kimball once again.
Nice mobility once the pocket collapsed, shown by Jones that time, but he threw a pass into double coverage, and Kimball really didn't have a pass. Watch the pressure right here come right up the gut, and he's going in and looking in the general direction. Well, pressure came from Charles Phillips that time. There's some help from Terrence Jones.
So on 4th down and 5 from the 15-yard line, Rick Comagee is going to attempt a field goal 32 yards away.
I don't know.
And Travis Gum, the all-conference kicker, is off the mark.
Well, picking up right where they left off, woes in the red zone for Tuskegee, but we may have some laundry on the turf. Tuskegee's offense hasn't seemed to move.
Well, there is a flag on the play. You just saw Jeffrey Stanton indicating that the infraction was against Miles. We'll wait for the officials.
That's an illegal procedure. It'll go against Tuskegee, and Miles will hold on downs. And there's one of those emotional breaking points early in the contest that goes the way of the Golden Bears.
So much to Stanton's protestations. Infraction is against Tuskegee. Miles will take over. 10-14 to go in the first quarter here from Tuskegee, Alabama. And One Day Lawson, Mark Gray, Dwayne Ballin with you on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Tuskegee and Miles, a heated rivalry being renewed. No score. Miles, 1st down and 10 from the 20. Excellent defensive pressure there by Tuskegee. Donald Joyce on the stop.
Donald Joyce just shot the gap. I think maybe Marvin Irving might have missed an assignment and didn't get a hat on him, because he basically came unabated through the A-gap and stuffed that run play.
Joyce 6'2", 340-pound senior from Savannah, Georgia, named All-Conference in the preseason. Pickup of no yards on the play. 2nd and 10. This time Smith is going to the air.
Wow.
Drayton Florence delivered quite a hit on the receiver.
And the intended receiver that time was Ray Johnson. And he's fortunate that he's getting up off the turf after that one. That's the one we like to refer to as a medicine ball. Let's take a look at the medicine ball pass right here. Good protection in the pocket, just a bad release point. Maybe with the humidity it slipped out of his hand. And watch, the clock is clean that time. Boy going up, trying to haul in the pass. Now you got a 3rd and long situation, which is not an advantage for a young quarterback.
Smith, time to throw, gets it away. Looking for Clifford Matthews, who doesn't get it.
Well, I tell you,
ball was picked off. Intercepted by Frank Walker. That's his 3rd interception of the season. He leads the team in that category.
Well, one thing about Tuskegee, they have a number of talented defensive backs who could get a look at the next level. And Walker is just one of them. But he's helped out immeasurably. Great protection up front. Can't ask for a better time than that. But watch, it's an underthrown ball. It gives the defensive back an opportunity to make a play. His receiver had a step. The ball has got too much air up under it, and it leads to the interception by Walker. So it's a situation where the wide receiver had split the double coverage, got some separation, had to wait for the ball that never got there.
So the defense delivers another opportunity for Tuskegee's offense from the 27-yard line, keeping it on the ground are the Golden Tigers.
Boy, and I mean, if you're on the Miles sideline, the pendulum swing and motion here in the first 5 minutes of the game has been mind-boggling.
SIAC current standings. These gentlemen reside atop at 2-0 in the conference, 3-0 overall. Miles in 4th place, tied for 3rd.
That Clark Atlanta team showing dramatic improvement with a big win over Miles, where they basically dominated the 4th quarter.
And Kentucky State, Morehouse, Albany State, and Benedict finish out the conference standings. On 2nd and 10, it's Florence getting just over the 30-yard line before he stopped.
They paying the price that time. Well, I tell you, he got his big-time help on the defensive front that time. And when you look, I think it was Arthur Parker who came across and made that play. And now you got Tuskegee in a 3rd and long situation.
Terrence Jones on 3rd and 7 from the 30-yard line. Here comes pressure, and he goes down. Marlo Young.
Well, there's nothing fancy about what he did. He just put a good old-fashioned whipping on the preseason All-SIAC right tackle, Bruce Lawrence. Number 70 just got whooped as he came from the outside. And number 58 thwarts another Tuskegee drive. Well, he shot through there quickly.
Punting situation. Ball out of bounds at the 43-yard line, which is where Miles College will take over.
Well, at this point in the early stages, you have to be impressed with the job that the Miles College offensive line is doing. The question is, can Nick Smith make it work for him?
Well, Miles' offensive unit will get an opportunity against the #1 defense in the conference when we come back. Back at Tuskegee, no score, 7:27 to go here in Tuskegee, Alabama. Somewhat of a surprise, Mark Gray?
Well, it's a heated rivalry, and I don't care if you've got a rivalry as heated as, any of the major rivalries, Alabama, Auburn, North Carolina, Duke, Miles and Tuskegee. I mean, in a rivalry game, you just throw out all the tendencies. And I'm very impressed right now with what the offensive front of Miles College is doing against a staunch Tuskegee defensive unit. Nick Smith is getting ample time. He's got to deliver better passes.
First and 10 from their own 45-yard line is where the Golden Bears have it. Last year, 23-12, Miles lost to Tuskegee at home. Flags on the play.
The Miles contingent seems to think it's against Tuskegee. Let's see if referee Moses Norman and his crew will agree.
Well, quite a bit of lobbying goes down on the field, as we well know.
5 yards, first down.
And I think Donald Joyce might have jumped.
Not only did he jump, but he grabbed Marvin Irvin. That's one way to contain an All-America center.
Well, I tell you what, if you're going to be penalized, you might as well get your money's worth.
First and 5. Tyrone Coleman.
This is great, though. Irving is the key to the offensive front. You know, not only does he make the call and does he anchor the unit, but when they're trying to run the football, they're making it a point. Watch the center of your screen and goal. The guy in the middle of the line, just about all the running plays to this point have gone behind him, or either he's been involved on a trap block or something like that.
From the 48 of Tuskegee, Smith, the pitch out to Coleman. And he's quickly tracked down by the Tuskegee defensive unit.
Boy, was he.
Drayton Florence leading the way.
Florence came up, and if he doesn't make that tackle, it's off to the races that time. He just shoots the gap. Fake the dive, pitch comes out, everybody stays at home. It's a mano-a-mano situation, and that time Drayton Florence makes the play. 6 foot, 190-pound cornerback, good size, showing good quicks.
But not before Coleman picked up a first down, now at the 48-yard line.
Now, once again, DB, they go right behind Irving up the gut, and they pick up good yardage.
Ramon McLemore on the carry. That is the way to go. If you have, again, we don't want to beat it, but you have Marvin Irvin and All-America, you go right behind him until they have shown you they can contain it.
And at 6'4", 313 pounds, something's got to give. Either he's going to wear out, or the guys in the middle of the Tuskegee defensive front are going to wear out.
Pick up a 5. This time it's McLemore around the left side.
Now, this is the first time that McLemore's had his number called this season. This guy came into the season a little bit banged up, toyed with the notion of redshirting him perhaps. Got some hamstring issues, but he's running hard today. The rivalry gets your juices flowing.
3rd and 2 from the 38-yard line of Tuskegee. Has his receiver who had the ball momentarily, but
Frank Walker
just made it sure that he would not hang on to the ball.
Well, this qualifies omnipresent. Watch this break on the ball. See, he's got it, turning upfield, helmet in there, jars the ball loose. The omnipresent Frank Walker. He of the interception to thwart the drive earlier, and he just cleans the clock of Frank Adair. And you know something? I like this early in the contest by Coach Streeter, although it looks like he's going to have to burn a timeout. But I like the fact that he's at least pondering the notion of going. You're not the favorite. You're on the road. You're allegedly outmanned. You set the tone early by trying to give your team some confidence. I like this move.
More from Tuskegee after these messages. Just over 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter here in Tuskegee. Time to take a look at the NBC Student Athletes of the Week. Tuskegee University, it's Lawrence Irving, sophomore running back, GPA 3.78, and food and nutritional science.
Now that you like, you're a healthy eater that you are.
4th down, Miles going for it. Completed pass, first down. and much more. The tight end, DeWarren Baldwin.
Well, you spread Tuskegee out and you let your tight end run clean across the field. He finds the soft area in the zone coverage and he picks up the first down. This is an attitude check. Watch, he's going to come right off the line of scrimmage, and this is a strike delivered with confidence. It splits the numbers, and he knows what to do with it, does Baldwin, barreling over tackles and giving Miles a big first down.
25-yard pickup. It bears noting right now that Tuskegee University has not been scored upon in conference play this season.
In the first quarter.
Coleman caught behind the line of scrimmage by a very aggressive Tuskegee defensive unit.
Little run blitz that time. They shoot that gap.
Jordan Brumbaugh leading the way. Our NBC Miles student scholar athlete Robert Harris, a senior linebacker, 3.40 GPA, majoring in communications, meaning, Mark, he's going to have your job in a few years.
And
I'm okay. He'll have your job.
At what is he, 3.0 grade point average?
A little better than that, Mark. I know you weren't used to getting to that point.
No,
he's a little better than 3.0. Loss of 3 on the play. Second.
My GPA was just 4.
And 14 to the air. Adair has it. But Smith was throwing under pressure.
He certainly was, and that ball seemed to take forever to get to Adair. And, you know, Tuskegee's not given as much, real soft coverage that time. Didn't allow the cornerback to jump the coverage and make a play on the ball, but I think the coaches upstairs are going to recognize that, DB. They're going to tighten up the coverage on the corners, play just a little off, jump off those coverage to take away those passes right there, because the zip is not quite there on Nick Smith's ball.
3rd and 9 from the 12-yard line of Tuskegee. Smith back to throw. Great defense by Tuskegee. Again throwing into traffic. A very dangerous pass. Streaking across the front was Drayton Florence, who very well could have had an interception.
That's just a nice disguise of the coverage that time. They pack it back just a little bit more. You know, you can play a little bit softer because you've got the back of the end zone to work with. And again, he gets ample time. This is just tremendous job by the offensive front of Miles right now, keeping Tuskegee at bay. And see, he forces it into triple coverage that time. Can't see the help that's just to the left on your screen, but he forces it into double coverage, and it's not completed.
Jeff Burns from 29 yards out. This one is just good enough, and Burns gets Miles College on the board. 3-0. That is the first time an opponent has scored on Tuskegee University in conference play this season.
With all due respect, though, that really did look like one of your golf shots on the Robert Trent Jones golf trail.
Well, you know what? It's not the flight, but how it arrives and where it goes.
Like my car, she ain't pretty, but she get me where I'm going.
3-0, Miles. Leads at 3-0 here in Tuskegee. Time to bring in the third member of our announced team in One Day Lawson. And One Day.
Hey there. You know, we were expecting, obviously, at Tuskegee to just take this one away, heavily favored. And talking to Coach Carnegie before the game, he was saying he was a little bit afraid of what just happened, where they went down deep, got really close, and then were not able to turn it around. Miles came back and, of course, was able to make that score. So we're going to have to look for him to do some of the things he said he was going to do to improve the offense and the defense in this one. Sending it back up to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, and One Day. And
great point she makes when you're talking about the red zone inefficiency. Major concern for Coach Comedy and the Golden Tigers coming into this one.
On the kickoff, Brandon Hooks with the reception. A short kickoff by Jeff Burns. Very spirited Elteria Boykin comes up with the stop. Tuskegee is prominent in every major poll you see, Mark. No matter whose poll it is, the Tuskegee Golden Tigers are very squarely in the top 10.
And as we look at the Black College Sports page top 10, you'll notice that Tuskegee is number 7 in the poll. Bethune-Cookman and Allen Suber still at the top. Florida A&M with a big matchup coming up next here on NBC against Delaware State. We've got Grambling later on tonight in the third part of our tripleheader taking on Tennessee State.
On 1st and 10 for Tuskegee, very little going. The Golden Tigers now in the position of having to answer. Miles has come in here and put up the first 3 points of this game.
Well, Miles is extremely pumped up. They're playing on a lot of emotion here right now. But what I'm noticing is that the dominance at the point of attack Miles' offensive line is getting it. Tuskegee's is not. And that is where the game is normally won in a heated rivalry. And the more you let a team that's not favored stay around, their confidence grows. Miles is really confident right now.
2nd and 8 from the 27 on the ground, and very little forward movement as Miles' defensive unit closes fast.
And we talk about Marvin Irving on the offensive front of Miles College. Bruce Lawrence struggling just a little bit right now. Once again, he got beaten, and I think the quickness coming from the outside. He's got a matchup against William Robinson, and Robinson is getting the better of him right now.
Pickup of just 2 on the play. Inside of 2 minutes left in the first quarter. 3-0 Miles College. On 3rd down, Jones looking to the air. Has a receiver along the near sideline. That's Kimball, the all-conference receiver. Enough for the first down.
Kimball, another in the long line of talented Tuskegee receivers. There was a kid named Chris Holder that was here, catching passes from Maurice Hurd. There was a kid that followed him named Joe Washington, who did stuff just like this, finding the soft area, a little bit of post corner action, and he takes a shot from Miles going out of bounds. But the thing I'm noticing early about killing Kimball, he just knows how to get open, get the ball in his neighborhood, and he's got hands like a Venus flytrap.
12-yard pickup. I assume that means he can hang on to the ball. Tuskegee keeps it on the ground with Cortland Florence, and he's wrapped up quickly.
You don't remember the days of the Venus flytrap?
By James Biner, of course. Tim Reed.
No. You could order them in magazines. They would catch all the flies in your house.
Okay, that one too. I do remember that. I thought you were speaking of popular culture. Excuse me.
Me? Pop culture?
2nd and 9 from the 42. We are at Tuskegee, Alabama. Tuskegee and Miles College here on NBC on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. And One Day Lawson, Mark Gray, Dwayne Ballin with you.
Moses Norman taking charge of the band.
He's asking the band to cease and desist.
That is tremendous.
I think the Miles band finally got the message.
Well, I tell you what, they better cool out or they're going to pick up a 15-yard penalty, and I can tell you there'll be one man in this building that will have something more to say than just shut up.
You'll see the bands at halftime. A treat in store for you. They have pageantry and excitement coming your way. 1:07 left. 2nd and 9 for Tuskegee, which trails underdog Miles 3-0. Terrence Jones out of the shotgun. Time to throw. Has a man open and overthrows his intended receiver.
Boy, that was a great read, and the line does an outstanding job of picking up a blitz. All-out blitz coming, and the line in Tuskegee just gives Jones a great opportunity to have a nice pocket, and he goes towards his intended receiver, James Lewis, and it's just a bit over his head. Boy, they'll come back to that. Little post route, a skinny post they ran, which found the seam, and he just couldn't deliver it.
3rd down. There was movement along the offensive line. It appears as though Brian Elliott, the left tackle, may have moved early.
Well, Miles is getting a good, sometimes when the pressure comes, you don't sack the quarterback. You disrupt his throw. The venerable Moses Norman, longtime SIAC official.
Conferring with Coach Wade Streeter.
And he's probably telling them to have a talk with the band, because the band has chosen not to cease nor desist.
Well, that is precisely what Wade Streeter is doing. He's pointing towards the band. That is not something a head coach really need concern himself with in the middle of a football game.
Well,
he's sending someone over, an emissary.
I understand that the bands are as much of a flavor as black college sports as the games themselves, but right now you're hurting your team. You got to shut up.
Conversation with the band. 3rd and 15 for Tuskegee, trailing 3-0. To the air goes Jones again. Has a receiver, but not enough for the first down.
Interesting call from Coach Comagee right here. Does he go to try and answer there? Kenneth Horton on the reception that time. You know, it's the same route that they have been running to Kimball, the square out pattern, and he finds the soft area of the zone on the opposite side of the field and isn't able to break enough tackles to pick up the first down.
And he sends Travis Gums on to punt. Charlie Rollins will be back to receive. That is on 20-yard line.
And you see Jamel Hampton, number 27 that time, does a good job in a mano-a-mano situation of making the tackle. But I think Coach Comagee is going to talk it over a little bit before he decides whether or not to punt or to go for it on fourth down.
There is a timeout on the field. Miles leads it 3-0. Tuskegee has some pondering to do. It's 3-0. Let's check in with Nwande Lawson.
Tell you saw some interesting things going on there on the sidelines. Coach Streeter having to go and tell the band to tone it down. You know, we're going to be talking with some of his family a little bit later on. An interesting connection there, in that about half of his family went to Tuskegee and half of them to Miles College. So we'll get a little bit more on that, and of course that band situation as well. That's coming up. I'm going to back up to you guys.
Thank you, Nwande. And because of the split in his family, Coach Streeter was smart enough to attend Southern.
Divided loyalty today.
Travis Gums gets it away. Rollins, he touches it and has to get on it quickly. That was a dangerous decision by Rollins.
But I got to tell you, that's a great play by Travis Gums. Bad snap. He had to field it like Derek Jeter, and then he got off a good kick that was a squibber that ended up inside the red zone. It's going to force Miles to stop. Watch this. It's a poor snap. But look, after a great kick, he gets a nice roll. And you know, you can't play a better shot than that unless you've got a sand wedge.
46-yard punt. Great effort, as you mentioned, by Gums.
That's your sand wedge, isn't it? You do play the sand.
I hope I hit it farther than 46 yards. First and 10, ball at the 7-yard line. There are whistles down on the field of play. Miles leading at 3-0.
What a great day for black college football this is on NBC. I mean, we got a great weekend. We got 3 games today, the second of which is FAMU and Delaware State. Don't take anything for granted in that one.
Up at Dover.
Right, where they've got a NASCAR race this week.
That's right. So much going on in the Northeast this week.
Who do you think is driving this week, Charlie or Jay?
Miles coming in, 1-2 overall, 1-1 in the conference. Ball is loose. Wow. Touchdown, Tuskegee, a fortuitous bounce. And Christopher Bates takes advantage of it.
Well, it's the first time they were able to get some surge at the point of attack. I don't think Irving that time was able to get ahead on anybody. Watch the interior just collapse. Helmet on football, springs into the air. Florence finds the football, does Drayton Florence, and he takes it to the house. And just like that, old man Mo back on the side of the Golden Tigers.
Drayton Florence, the 6', 190-pound senior from Ocala, Florida, and cousin of running back Cortland Florence, comes up with the first 6 points of the game to put the Golden Tigers back on top. Extra point is good, and it is now 7-3 Tuskegee with inside of 10 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Well, you know that's how Rick Comagee drew it up. The defense, we need a score. We'll have a bad snap. We'll get a good roll on the punt. We'll put helmet on football, and we'll take it to the house.
Whatever works.
Watch it. Watch the gaps, and the line just collapses, and that's going to allow helmet on football. Couldn't quite make out the number, and you hit the nail right on the head. A fortuitous bounce into the hands of Drayton Florence, and he only has to go 3 yards into the end zone for the score. Let's see if we can see who got helmet on football this time. See, no surge by the O-line. Looks like that was number 44 wearing maroon and gold. That would be Roderick Washington, the freshman out of Jacksonville. where ironically enough we'll be next week. Does he get an assist?
Well, if this were baseball, he would, or basketball, he would.
Or hockey.
Yes. But he knows that he was instrumental in the play. Florence coming up with the 6 points, and Tuskegee's defense, not its offense, gets it going in the end zone.
Yeah, but when you're a championship caliber team, you just make plays in all facets of the game, and the D steps up big. And you see, Dwayne, how much more energy Tuskegee has after scoring the touchdown.
Damian Henderson closed dramatically.
Boy, I tell you, he broke the wedge.
Much more football coming your way here on NBC. Whitney Young Classic, Alcorn State and Hampton. Then on the 28th, the Willie E. Gary Classic. That's Edwards Waters versus Shaw. That'll be from Jacksonville.
We got 4 black college games in one weekend. Unprecedented.
1st and 10 for Miles, trailing now 3-7 from the 15-yard line. A nice piece of running for Jamal Hampton.
Nimble footwork. Watch the nimble feet of Hampton. The hole closes up that he was supposed to go to. He has the vision and the feet to get back to the near side, and he just keeps his legs in perpetual motion, and that's going to take us to the second quarter.
Golden Bears trying to get it going at the end of 1. They trail it 7-3. Tuskegee leads. We mentioned it a while ago. Next Saturday, join us from Jacksonville for the first Willie E. Gary Classic, named in honor of NBC Network CEO and noted trial attorney Willie Gary. Edwards Waters College will take on Gary's alma mater, Shaw University, in that matchup. Tickets are available through Ticketmaster. Seniors and students can buy one, get one free. Of course, Mark Gray has his ticket already in hand. Second down. Ball was tipped.
It's amazing how seemingly Horton, the running back right now, is absent in the game plan and the play calling of Coach Streeter and Miles.
Lining up in the backfield on the previous 2 plays was defensive back Jamal Hampton, number 36. So Coach Streeter looking for a formula that works.
Well, I think he's got to throw a lot more on first down. I mean, you get in these 3rd and 2nd and long situations, it plays right into the hands of the Tuskegee defense.
3rd down. And it's Smith getting the first down. He's an interesting study because Coach Streeter told us that this is a young man that he thinks potentially has a big upside, but
he has tendency to force the game sometimes. He doesn't always let the game come to him. You know, it's a great line from movies. Sometimes you have to make a play. Other times the play makes you. And it's a situation where he just tries to force too many plays. But again, this guy's only been under center for a couple of years. Best athlete on the team. That's why he's under center.
His run makes it 1st and 10 from the 33. First man through. Perry Tisdale. Ramon McLemore.
Well, but I tell you, man, rare is it that you see somebody live up to preseason advanced billing. Marvin Irving is a beast in the center of the line, man. 72 is just absolutely killing people at the point of attack. Well, he's getting off the ball, and he's making it very, very difficult for Donald Joyce, a preseason All-SIAC performer, to make a play.
Smith on the keeper again. Actually tries to stiff arm Jeffrey Stanton as he gets out of bounds. The 2 exchange words.
Well, the young fella's got to keep his composure. That's the dilemma of young quarterbacks. They have tendency to get caught up in the moment. And that's one of those byproducts, you know, that manifests itself in terms of trying to force things. And you talk about lineage. this is a kid that comes from good stock, too. Latrez Harrison, who's now one of the reserve quarterbacks at the University of Maryland, is Smith's brother.
South Street is speaking to him to quiet him down on first down. Smith going to the air, has a receiver open. Frank Adair had it momentarily, but then David Musa decided to release him from his problems.
Well, they talk about the cover skills of the Tuskegee defensive backs. They do take nice drops. They do break on the football. But let me tell you something. These guys can play physical. Boom! Welcome to this contest. This is the second time we've seen a Miles player have the ball right in his breadbasket and it's drawn loose, thanks to the physicality of the secondary of the Golden Tigers.
Tuskegee has decided to take a timeout. Want to discuss matters. 2nd and 10 from the 47-yard line. We were talking about Wade Streeter. You see him there. He was chatting with Nicholas Smith. He understands what's happening because Streeter himself was a quarterback, as he told us 50 pounds ago.
Yeah, 50 pounds ago he was a quarterback, and he had to learn how to play within himself, how to make the plays. And 90% of the game is mental. And that only comes with time. And, it'll be interesting to watch how, as Smith develops, his relationship with his coach develops as well. He'll get better as the two grow together.
Well, it's Tuskegee leading Miles 7-3 early in the second quarter. We'll return to Alumni Stadium after these messages. Tuskegee leads it on this warm afternoon, 7-3 on second down. Smith to the air again, has a receiver, Adair, who's still on his feet, has room to run. First down for Miles.
And Tuskegee helps out. See, this is a confident pass. He gets outside the pocket. He's looking. He's waiting.
Making sure the field is clear. And he finds Frank Adair. 30-yard pickup, good enough for a first down to the 22-yard line of Tuskegee.
Tuskegee went for the big hit that time, and they didn't get it, and he's able to pick up about another 20 yards.
Miles back on the ground. Ramon McLemore barreling his way up for about 3, maybe 4 yards.
Well, if I'm Coach Comezy, I think I'm going to fill that A and that B gap. I'm going to put a third man in that box to thwart the 2 men that they're running behind. They're going behind Irving and Bell, or either Irving and Willis. Maybe you put a second guy on Irving, he's not able to get off the ball as fast, which is going to allow your linebackers to come up and make a hit. But 72 in the middle of that O-line is having a huge day this afternoon.
On second down, Smith under pressure, gets it away. He was trying to drop it off to Charlie Rollins, who really was a pressure release because he was really under pressure.
Yeah, I still think you got to catch up with that one. The blitz came unabated from the left side. He found a safe check down receiver, and the pass just goes awry.
So that brings up third down and 5 for Miles from the 17-yard line. Smith calling for a timeout. He wants to come over and talk to his coach about this. Remember, they trail it 7-3. We will return to Tuskegee in a moment. Welcome back to Tuskegee. Miles cheerleaders watching their team as they trail Tuskegee 7-3. On third down from the 17, trying to get back some more, and it is nearly intercepted.
Well, that's a situation where he just didn't get the ball far enough to the outside. He threw the pass inside his receivers. They had this double slot to the near side, and if he's able to lead his receiver, but look, his receiver has to turn around and try to make that play, and it thwarts another drive. He had a dare, but Dare did have a step that time. But again, the mechanics of the quarterback on a pass like that is something that Nick Smith has to develop with. And Tuskegee's going to burn another timeout.
Miles was going to bring on Jeff Burns to attempt a 35-yard field goal. Rick Comagee, Tuskegee's head coach, apparently wants Messer Burns to think about it a bit more. Tuskegee up top, 7-3. University, founded in 1881 on the 4th of July. Booker T. Washington, most within the sound of our voice, know the story. Great educator that he was, founding this fine university. This season, NBC Sports brings you 13 classic football games from the major black college conferences. On November 30th, we'll feature the best of the season's classic games. The fun part of this is that you get to select which games we feature. Cast your vote for your favorite black college football classic by going on the web at www.mbcnetwork.com or by registering at the games. Name your favorite classic. Send it to Classic Caches, NBC Network, 800 Forest Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318 if you choose to mail it in. Keep watching NBC to hear more about the contest, great prizes, and classic wins. 35-yard field goal attempt for Jeff Burns as Miles trails at 7-3.
Oh.
And he just misses as it glances off the uprights.
Tuskegee dodges a bullet there.
So an unrequited trip deep in the Tuskegee territory for Miles College. 12:07 to go. It is Tuskegee University leading 7-3.
Unrequited. Is that anything like not scoring? Hey, you got to go a long way to practice this. I wonder, can you practice hitting the goal? I mean, that's just amazing to me. How do you hit it without practicing that?
Terrence Jones and the Golden Tigers elect to keep it on the ground when they get possession.
Well, this time, Tuskegee trying to work the outside, trying to start to work the edges. But offensively, Miles has certainly gotten the better of the two offenses, although they're trailing right now. Seems to be a little bit more flow, more continuity with the Miles offense than there has been with Tuskegee to this point.
Pickup of 7. And it's Matthew Hazel, senior running back, picking up a first down.
Now there are about 5 running backs in the Tuskegee stable. You just got to look at one of them who is expected to play a bigger role coming into the season. However, everybody has been overshadowed by the performance of Florence to this point.
Very little on that play. Grant Bennett closing quick to stop Hazel on the pickup.
There's another flag on the field. We'll hold everything right here.
Miles College, Tuskegee University. Offsides against Tuskegee.
Actually, that's unsportsmanlike conduct.
Our flavor of the game, Mark.
Tuskegee has been the dominant program in the SIAC, if not all black college football, since 1997. They posted a 52-10 mark, 26-1 in their last 27 games, 3 SIAC titles. They were the 2000 mythical black college national champion and 4 Pioneer Bowls. And there's going to be some folks in Atlanta who are a little upset about the 4th one, because Morehouse did beat Tuskegee last year, although Tuskegee was able to get the bid to postseason. A controversial bid, I might add.
An unsportsmanlike conduct, a loss of 21 on the play. So it is now 2nd and 25 for Tuskegee. Warming up along the sidelines of Miles College is Jamaica Nelson, quarterback. Not sure what that means, Mark. Nicholas Smith clearly has been the man for Wade Streeter.
He's played a pretty solid game. A couple of passes he could have laid out a little better. Made one bad decision. Well, he underthrew the interception, but it was a good read. Maybe, just maybe, he's thinking about going to the bullpen.
Under pressure, he gets it off, goes nowhere. Boy,
therein lies the key to the pressure sometimes, Dwayne, because it's not often you get the sack. But when you get guys like James Bonner and Arthur Parker who can get in there with some pressure, they force passes like that.
Well, Arthur Parker was bearing down on Terrence Jones fast.
He just beat his man at the line of scrimmage and showed some quickness. Miles' front seven is extremely quick.
3rd and long from his own 26-yard line. Jones under pressure again, trying to avoid Parker.
He may have fumbled a football.
Well, Marlo Young came from behind him and hit it from the blind side.
Boy, I tell you, that play is set up, though, by James Bonner staying at home. Once Jones got outside the pocket, watch. Jones is going to get outside the pocket, and he looks like he's in position to make a play. Number 98 is staying at home. He's going to force him to the sideline, allows the pressure to come from the backside, and boy, just a whisker. See, watch 86 right there, staying at home, forcing him to hold the ball a lot longer than he wanted to, and it almost led to a devastating turn of events for Tuskegee.
Well, Travis Gums has set the pass inside of his 5-yard line, and once again the Miles band comes into play.
And they still don't get it. They have just cost their team great field position. Now, it's one thing to be enthusiastic. It's another thing to be stupid. And that's what you call orchestral stupidity.
Now, remember, earlier in the game, Coach Wade Streeter sent one of his assistants over to tell the band to watch at what points they were playing.
There's no excuse for that. Your time is halftime, not game time.
They received a warning earlier. So what that does is gives a little more breathing room for Tuskegee to cover on the punt. Comes another low snap, but he gets it away. And Rollins just runs right in and catches it.
Two great special teams play in one play that time. I mean, if Travis Gums is the all-conference kicker, and he continues to do this with bad snaps, imagine how good he'll be if he finally gets a good snap.
Gary Dozier was the man making the tackle. Tuskegee.
I'm telling you, boy, he's auditioning for Major League Baseball, like Derek Jeter or A-Rod, trying to field these snaps.
Rick Comagy, 7-3. Let's check in with one day Lawson.
Keep it down, and then of course actually drawing that penalty as a result of the fact they cannot play when the opposing team has the ball. They needed to actually adhere to that, actually cost their team perhaps a little bit on that one. So we're going to stay tuned and see whether they're able to adhere to the rules as the game continues. Sending it back up to you guys.
A little bit in one day. Cost the team 15 yards. It's the difference between starting on your own 42-yard line and starting on the opposing team's 35. I mean, that's just, that's a killer. I mean, we understand the flavor of the game. The bands are as much a part of the game as anything, but you just hurt your team there.
And one day, thanks for that clarification. Great work. 1st and 10 from the 42. And Smith decides to keep it himself. So despite the fact that we saw someone else warming up, Jamaica Nelson on the sideline, Smith is back in the game. Smith from Southwest DeKalb High School, which has quite a history.
That's right. Quincy Carter, the Dallas Cowboys now, led the Southwest DeKalb team to the state championship. Number of talented running backs. Arvin Richard played here in the University of Alabama.
That is in Atlanta.
One thing about it, DeKalb County football in Georgia is something else.
Around the end, very little. Frank Adair did a lot of horizontal running.
Well, that was a great idea by Coach Streeter, but Tuskegee didn't buy it.
Good pursuit by Jeffrey Stanton.
And when you have a fast team that pursues very well, they're normally susceptible to the misdirection, but watch everybody stay at home. See, nobody really buys it. Number 95 doesn't get sucked in there, and Adair just doesn't have the speed to get around the corner. He tried to get some help, did Adair, from a pulling guard that time, but it wasn't happening.
Gregory Green's defensive unit for Tuskegee University doing a good job in this series. 3rd and 6 from the 46.
Smith rolling out, looking downfield. Nearly had Clifford Matthews.
He had him on the post once again. There was a little bit of pressure, and he just strong-armed it. And see, as a quarterback matures, Dwayne, he's able to recognize when he has to gun the football or put a little bit of air up under it. Early on the interception, he needed more of a gun to get it to his receiver, and he put too much air under it. That time, a little bit more air, he's able to let his receiver make a play on it. But when the pressure is bearing down on you, it alters the trajectory of your passes.
Matthew Smiley back at his own 30-yard line to punt away. Stanton awaits at the 20-yard line of Tuskegee. High kick. Stanton will let it bounce. Settles at close to the 15-yard line, which is where Tuskegee, leading 7-3, will take over. A 39-yard punt for Smiley.
Watch Nick Smith, and this is probably why he's not able to really let the ball go, as he takes a lick.
Wow. That lick came a bit after he released that ball.
Just a bit late. We've seen a lot less called unnecessary roughness in our day.
8:46 to go in the second quarter. Tuskegee with the ball, leading 7-3. And one day lost in Mark Gray. Dwayne Ballin with you from the beautiful campus here in Tuskegee, Alabama. The Golden Tigers at home and keeping the ball on the ground.
Tuskegee has shuttled in a new quarterback, DB. John Flynn, number 7.
And remember something that Rick Comegee said, that he would not hesitate to put in Flynn if he thought Terrence Jones was not moving the offense properly.
And Flynn is a transfer from Jackson State. So he's got some skills.
6'2", 222-pound sophomore from Ellenwood, Georgia. Once again, it's on the ground. Battling down inside is Matthew Hazel.
Now Tuskegee offensive line getting to get some surge at the point of attack against the quickness of Miles. You know, the humidity out there. Miles has been on the field a little bit longer on the defensive side of the ball. That has Tuskegee. And when you're a little thin, it starts wearing on you. Start noticing now as we approach the midway point here in the second quarter.
Flynn operating out of the shotgun. Once again on the ground. There is a hole for Florence. He breaks it out, has the first down, up the sidelines, and finally goes down and out of bounds.
Draw play up the gut. Trap block by Charlie Thornton, the center. Adrian Poe gets some help from the left tackle, Brian Elliott, and Cortland Florence is off to the races. Boy, a great kick-out block by number 60, Thornton, that opens up the hole. And we've got somebody down for Tuskegee right now. Somebody who may have been a part of the center of that line. Cortland Florence on great acceleration, nice vision, and nimble feet. Needed to try to spin and make one more cut and almost took it to the house. But again, another member, I believe, of the Tuskegee offensive front is ailing.
Charlie Thornton, the injured player, a 6'1", 312 sophomore from Moultrie, Georgia. He's being helped up. Our NBC Player of the Week, Levy Brown, junior defensive back. Outstanding effort against Morgan State, a game we had, Mark.
That's right.
Up in Cincinnati.
Yeah, 9 tackles, 3 big interceptions, and I mean, you know, plus 4 pass breakups. I mean, you know, I don't know what the folks in the MEAC were thinking about last year, but Levy Brown should have been all-conference, and if he's not all-conference year, then we got to find the French judge.
His publicity director, Mark Gray, has spoken.
I'm telling you, it must have been a French judge on the panel last year.
Pepe Le Pew making the ruling.
The guy, he's great. Next to Rasheem Athens at Bethune-Cookman, probably the best D-back in the conference.
1st and 10 after that 23-yard pickup. There is activity along the interior line. Flags are flying. Ball is loose, and it'll all be sorted out by the officials.
It'll be offsides against Miles, and that fumble's coming back. I think Tuskegee was trying to use it as a free play, but Miles definitely was in the neutral zone by a landslide.
Miles offsides. The Golden Bears actually doing a pretty good job, really, of containing Tuskegee, because remember, those 7 points on that board are courtesy of the defense.
And Miles' offense has moved the ball. They just haven't been able to execute in the red zone.
Which is what Rick Comegee complained about last week in One Day Lawson talked about it earlier in the telecast. He was not happy with the way this offense performed. Hence, he's decided to switch quarterbacks. John Flynn and for Terrence Jones, who played all of the first quarter and is the starter. It's on the ground to Florence again. This time, the Miles defensive unit is ready and waiting.
William Robinson that time does a good job of taking away the cutback lane. He was trying to cut to the outside, and then he looked back to the inside, and there was nothing there. So Robinson comes out, but he did an outstanding job, in my opinion, although he seems to be getting chewed out.
2nd and 5 from the 46 for Tuskegee, leading 7-3. Matthew Hazel out to the 35-yard line of Miles. Hazel, a 5'11", 192-pound senior from Atlanta, a business administration major.
Boy, I tell you, that time, there was a great surge, and you had some pull action going on there. Brian
Hazel,
Elliott.
6 carries, 42 yards. Sorry, partner.
Brian Elliott that time. Great block to spring him around the corner.
Flynn has yet to attempt to pass since being inserted for this series. James Biner leading the Golden Bears defensive unit as they quickly close on the running play.
I think that's a setup play. Wouldn't be shocked to see some play action coming up here, looking for Kimball. There's the look of the game. Look at this slice of African Americana.
Fans really enjoying their afternoon on this beautiful day in southern Alabama.
This is a great yard. You can't ask for anything better. I mean, I go to Hampton and and there's a fumble.
Ball is loose and Flynn has to get down on it, but it all was created by James Biner. James Biner did a great job for Miles, the 6'2", 270-pound sophomore left tackle. Watch him, number 98.
And he just shoots the gap and gets his helmet on the football that time. But unlike Tuskegee's circumstance the first time when they got helmet on the football, went straight into the air and fell right into the waiting hands of Florence, who took it into the end zone. This time, John Flynn, quarterback Johnny on the spot, is able to cover and they retain possession.
Biner was actually there shortly, seconds after the ball was delivered to Matthew Hazel.
But this is a beautiful campus. I mean, you know, it reminds me a great deal aesthetically of Hampton's campus.
It is the only historically African-American campus on the National Historical Register.
That's right. This is one of those Park Service National Historic Landmarks.
Has an enrollment over 3,000 students. Its original 100 acres have expanded. You see the Miles College Band, the sound of the game, NBC sound of the game. You will hear that at halftime. Both bands will treat you to quite a show. The NBC sound of the game.
Miles Band got to dig themselves out of the doghouse right now.
Miles Band has to atone for earlier transgressions. We're sure they'll do that nicely at halftime. They're at the Tuskegee Crimson Vipers.
And it should be noted that Miles College has done an outstanding job of rebuilding their program. I remember when I was cutting my teeth on the Black College beat as a humble old scribe in Atlanta, coming down to watch Miles. Their band was, shall we say, nowhere near this size. Nowhere near this Natalie attired either.
3rd and long for Tuskegee, leading 7-3, 4:24 left before the half.
Yeah.
Whistles and flags on the field.
Same thing we saw happen to Morgan State last week in our game in Cincinnati. You switch quarterbacks. You go with the long snap, behind center, silent snap count. You know, there's not that relationship between the center and the quarterback, and it leads to situations like that. The center was probably a half step ahead of the quarterback in that situation, and now it brings up third in the month of Sundays.
Third and 26. Here comes.
That could be a fumble.
It is a fumble. It's a live ball. Marlo Young, once again, who's just been a rushing terror to Tuskegee's quarterbacks, makes so much happen, a disruptive force out there.
He certainly has. I tell you, look at him that time, hog time, but bad decision by Flynn. Tuck the ball in. Give Gums, the all-SIAC punter, an opportunity to bail you out. It's just a bad decision. He's trying to make a play, and you admire his heart, but it was not the most cerebral of decisions. And now the question is, can Miles look this gift horse in the mouth?
So Miles now with an opportunity with just over 4 minutes remaining in the half, courtesy of great defensive play by Marlo Young. Golden Bears have the ball at the 25-yard line of Tuskegee. Smith to the air, has the receiver. That's 6 points. Charlie Rollins.
And they're throwing on first down. Great play call by Wade Streeter to come out, spread Tuskegee out, force a mano-a-mano situation. And in that particular instance, Charlie Rollins wins it, and Miles has the lead, and it's grown eerily silent in here.
A 25-yard touchdown play.
Again, it starts with the great protection up front. Out pattern to Rollins, climbs the ladder, and a missed tackle that time. If I'm not mistaken, that's Florence who missed the tackle. Drayton Florence, who scored the touchdown, misses the tackle that leads to Miles' touchdown.
Jeff Burns adds the extra point, and Miles regains the lead. 10-7 here in Tuskegee. 25-yard strike from Smith to Rollins.
Come around.
Florence had an opportunity to make the tackle. Watch right here. He got caught in no man's land. He left his feet, couldn't decide whether to make a play on the receiver or the ball. When he couldn't get to the ball, he tried to haul in the receiver, and Rollins makes him pay. And Miles, a spirited, confident team from Birmingham, has looked the champion squarely in the eye, and he has not blinked.
Look at Charlie Rollins, the man that just caught the pass.
Back to where that little thing is.
Miles' offense, opportunistic, taking advantage of a nice defensive stand. You have to again go back to the play of Marlo Young on that last defensive series for Miles.
Marlo Young gets credit. John Flynn makes a bad mistake, and then Wade Streeter goes right for the kill, and he does it. That's a great aggressive play call in that situation. You often find coaches that want to try to run and set up some things and put themselves in a third and long dilemma down there, and they come out with nothing more than a field goal. Great play call by Coach Streeter.
Ball is kicked short. Florence is near it. Somehow Cortland Florence picks that ball up. Do not know if that was a wise decision because there are a host of yellow jerseys around him. Tensions are running high on this field.
That really looked like a long onside kick. And you know something? The emotions coupled with the heat and humidity of this one, everything's getting just a little chippy right now.
You remember what we told you, folks. These are two teams that there are serious emotions between them, serious feelings. Matter of fact, we mentioned at the top of the telecast, the Miles players turned their backs on the Tuskegee players during the coin toss.
It's what they like to refer to in Atlanta when talking about the Georgia Tech rivalry as good old-fashioned hate. And that's what this is, just good old-fashioned hate.
Well, Tuskegee now has the task of trying to answer 7 points put up by Miles. 3:15 to go before the half. Tuskegee heavily favored in this one.
How much do you want to bet we see Terrence Jones, the quarterback, back in there?
John Flynn had been inserted for the last series.
We got a bag. We're in peanut country. Got a bag of nuts?
No, it's okay, because Terrence Jones is already on the field, back in at quarterback.
Thought I could pull that one right past you. There's nothing getting past you, DB.
Now, Coach Gray, for Rick Comagee, Was he sending a message to Terrence Jones by sitting him in that series?
I think he was looking to jumpstart his offense. I don't think he thought that he was getting optimum offensive efficiency out of his quarterback, so he chose to make a change, and frankly, he got burned. Now he's going to go back to the stable signal caller. See, you know me, as we talked last week, I believe you got to stay with one guy. I mean, Steve Spurrier has been the only coach who's been able to shuttle quarterbacks and win.
Move back, guys, move back.
Monday night at 9 p.m., tune into NBC's television network for original programming, The Future of Black America. Special tackles head-on issues that affect the black family and black America. The next episode, Willie Gary and Julianne Malveaux host panelists. They will discuss maintaining and sharing wealth in our communities. Tune in Monday, 9 p.m. for The Future of Black America.
And I like that when Terrence Jones comes back out, DB, he goes right after Kimball. And I was wondering what Kimball was on the last drive, and now they're picking up the pace just a little bit, trying to catch Miles on their heels with the no huddle.
Second down and 3 for Tuskegee. Nearing the 3-minute mark. Golden Tigers came in favored, but trail it 10-7. Up the middle with a burst of speed and much more is Matthew Hazel.
I'm a little shocked that there wasn't a face mask call that time, because if Hazel isn't grabbed by his face mask at the end of this run, he's probably still going right now. Much like Miles has been going right up the gut. You got a big, nasty up front in the middle, Charlie Thornton. He opens up a hole, the straight draw play, and that time you saw the face guard right there. It was grabbed, it was pulled backward that time.
Pickup of 41 yards by Hazel. Ball now at the 31-yard line of Miles. Out of the shotgun is Jones. Has a receiver along the far sideline, knocked out of bounds is Kimball.
Well, you know something? Jamel Hampton is just giving Kimball a little bit too much respect right now. I mean, he's playing too far off of him, and it's allowing all that underneath stuff to be wide open. I mean, he's coming off the line of scrimmage, and the cornerback is lining up 10 yards behind. And what's happening is that they're playing soft coverage. He's taking what the defense gives him underneath. Those are safe, quarterback-friendly passes. They're high percentage passes, and they're going to be there all day.
On the ground is Florence, still on his feet, a very determined run.
That's a great 4-yard run, isn't it?
Very impressive 4-yard run. When you consider initially he should have been dropped for a loss by Walter Goggins, who actually tripped him. But Florence had the presence of mind and dexterity to maintain his balance.
Dexterity, the key word. He just stayed on his feet and continued to move and move and move. And he finally makes the play.
And he picks up a first down for Tuskegee. Inside of 2 minutes left in the first half. The Golden Tigers of Tuskegee trailing their arch rivals, the Golden Bears of Miles, by 3, 10-7. Terrence Jones out of the shotgun. Pass was too short. Looking for Kimball again.
Boy, I tell you, Tuskegee's showing their championship medal coming back right now.
You know, it still does not appear as though Terrence Jones is comfortable running the offense yet.
I think he understands what he's supposed to do in terms of having the arm strength to make some of those tight passes that he has to make. I think there may be some issues as far as that's concerned. But in terms of maintenance, offensive maintenance, in terms of offensive flow and continuity, he seems to have a little bit better command than Flynn.
Lawrence trying to get outside, but he will not have an opportunity to do any of that. Robert Harris and the rest of his Golden Bear defensive teammates just swarm around him.
Interesting play call for Rick Comegy right here. I think he's out of timeouts too.
1:23, clock is moving. 10-7, Miles leads.
Well, they've been working everything to the outside with the passing game. I think the skinny post is open. And if you've got Kimball, who's been running squares, it might be time to look for Kimball on the post.
Kimball split wide to the right. Jones looking in Kimball's direction now, tucks it away and is running. Knocked out of bounds. and hard by Johnny Hopkins.
It's getting physical, isn't it?
That's why I'm glad we're up here, my friend.
Took too many of those shots back in the day.
52 seconds remaining. The Tuskegee offense has yet to score a touchdown in this game.
If you got a kid like Travis Gomes, who's the all-conference place kicker, you got to take a shot here. But this is by no means automatic.
Travis Gomes comes on, 35-yard field goal attempt. This could tie the game. Interesting backdrop, the Miles band staring him down.
How about that?
And it is wide to the left. Travis Gomes misses, and Tuskegee comes up short. Once again inside the red zone.
Well, he was kicking from the right hash, trying to hook it left, and I think he hooked it just a bit too much.
So Miles will take over at the 17-yard line.
Let's take a look. Good snap. And look at the sea of purple in the background.
Extra defensive help psychologically for Miles.
Well, that was awful close. I would never second guess.
Smith keeps it.
But as we approach the latter stages of the first half, it should be noted that Miles, were it not for a missed field goal, would be up 13-7 right now. Miles, frankly, an offensive standpoint, they've dominated this game, yet they lead only by 3. And we're shaping ourselves up for a great finish here, because Tuskegee's offense has got to figure out Miles' defense, and Miles has just got to continue to keep the pressure on.
This is an area where you simply do not make mistakes. You have safe plays, 20 seconds remaining, 2nd and 8. You have a 3-point lead to take it to the locker room. Smith hits a knee, as one would expect.
So Coach Streeter will go in, and he's got to feel pretty good. After his team came out, sputtered just a little bit, they took what could have been a knockout blow, a haymaker, after the fumble when Lawrence took it back into the end zone for the score. They responded. They, too, took advantage of a touchdown, of a turnover, and that's why Miles leads.
It's 10-7, and then Wande Lawson is with the man leading at the half.
That's right. Well, you predicted it last night, Coach. You told us we'd be talking to you first going into the locker room. What'd you do preparing for this first half?
Well, we just felt like we needed to get after them. You know, I think the mystique of Tuskegee and the fact that they got a lot of tradition and a lot of people run from them, we just felt like we just had to go straight at them. That's what we did in the first half. I think with the exception of the miscue that we had in our own with the fumble on first down, I mean, we played a pretty sound first half. We just got to capitalize and keep pouring it on and not relax.
Okay, now you're getting ready to go into the locker room. What do you tell them coming back?
We got to have the same intensity. We come back in the second half, we can't have a let up. You know, we got to come back the first drive, we got to be able to stop them. We get the ball the first time, we got to march the ball down the field and score.
All right, very good. Let you go into the locker room, and we're going to send it back up to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Nwande. Wade Streeter's Golden Bears, a mild surprise at the half. They lead the Golden Tigers of Tuskegee 10-7. Miles leads at 10-7 at the half here in Tuskegee. We now want you to enjoy the purple marching machine of Miles College.
Tuskegee is about to discover the true goal line as the representing star
symphonic sounds of the machine as they perform hits. Chris,
The purple marching machine of Miles College, the purple marching machine. Coming up next, the marching crimson of Tuskegee University, as we enjoy the excitement and pageantry of black college football on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Here in Tuskegee, Miles leads it at halftime 10-7. Now you may enjoy the excitement and sounds of the Crimson Piper Band, conducted by Warren L. Duncan here at Tuskegee University. at the Alumni Stadium. Miles leads Tuskegee 10-7 at the half. Along with my partner, Mark Gray, I'm Dwayne Ballin. First half of action, we saw something of a surprise because once again it was Miles taking it to Tuskegee.
Well, one thing about a rivalry contest, Dwayne, is that everything that you figure you know, throw it out the window because it's a rivalry contest. And right now, the level of intensity and focus certainly is on the side of Miles right now. They've done a great job on the defensive side of the ball, getting relentless pressure on Tuskegee and disrupting their offensive attack. Meanwhile, it seems like Nick Smith is beginning to come of age as a quarterback for Miles.
Let's check in with Denlonde Lawson, who is there with Coach Comagee. Coach?
Half, Coach, and of course you all very heavily favored to win, and not only this, but of course the SIC overall. Looking at the scoreboard right now, though, what did you tell the guys coming into the second half?
We just got to play better football. We haven't been playing good football. We got to come out and play Tuskegee football. We haven't done it yet. You know, offense, defense, and special teams is what we're after, and hopefully we'll come out and do it this half.
Okay, we'll see you in the second half. Good luck, and of course we're going to send it back up to you guys with more as we get ready to go into the second half.
Thank you, and one day take a look at the first half statistical numbers, and those, Mark, Tuskegee rushing yards, passing yards, they're close, but
it's pretty much even when you look at it, except you know, Miles has a couple of turnovers. One of them led to their only points on the scoreboard. Time of possession, Tuskegee seemingly is at an advantage, but a couple of, you know, 4 penalties for Tuskegee, and Coach Comagee talks about playing Tuskegee football. It's a complete game. They haven't done well offensively. Special teams has had a number of bad snaps, and then, of course, defensively, well, they gave the touchdown after the turnover.
Well, Cortland Florence took the opening half kickoff, fumbled it, but it was recovered by Tuskegee. So the Golden Tigers will begin the second half at their 32-yard line.
Shaky start.
I'm sure Coach Comagee hopes that does not portend ill for his team in the second half. Golden Tigers coming in here having won 26 of their last 27 games, including 9 straight dating back to last season. As you heard, in Wande Lawson just mentioned to Coach Comagee, they were picked by everyone in the conference to run away with it. They are first place in the conference at the moment.
Well, here's where the challenge, the comeback starts. Our offensive line has to assume command.
Matthew Hazel takes a couple of shots, maybe picks up 3 yards. But Miles' defensive unit, which finished so strong in the second half, John Oliver leading the way on that play.
Well, he just filled the gap that time and was able to get pressure because his big nasties up front, the likes of Goggins and James Biner, were able to occupy their man at the point of attack, allowed him to penetrate on the inside and make the tackle. But again, Tuskegee's offensive line has to impose their will on the second half if they're going to win this game.
From the 33 out of the shotgun is Jones. Has a receiver on the near sideline, and boy, did Johnny Hopkins make James Lewis pay for catching that ball.
He certainly did, but the reason that happens is because the ball just takes a month of Sundays to get there. I mean, it seemed like that ball, we can look, listen to the shot. Boom. So he does a good job of closing that time, does Hopkins, because he has an ample time to break on the ball.
Very hard-earned 3-yard pickup on the reception by Lewis. Ball at the 36. Jones under pressure and goes down.
Blown assignments again on the offensive front, DB.
Carlos Battle and Arthur Parker, they're picking up what they started doing in the first half.
And see, here it comes. You got pressure from the outside right there. That leads to a sack in the first half. This again, Terrence Jones running, almost fumbles there. And then, of course, here, that was the turnover that led to the touchdown, which gave Miles the lead. Their defensive package to this point has been absolutely flawless.
And that was Marlo Young doing so much damage to Tuskegee in the first half. Rollins has room to run. A touchdown saving tackle made by Brandon Hooks. Rollins was off like a jet.
Well, you know something? It's bad when the last line of containment is your punter and he gets slayed. And I'm going to tell you something. Travis Gomes is going to be pulling dirt out of his ear hole after the block that was put on here. Watch, this is just at this point, Coach Streeter's like, don't do it, no. Then a nice little jiggy move there, a little cut to the outside, and then watch Gomes. He's going to have his clock clean by number 7 right there in goal. That would be Grant Bennett. And were it not for this touchdown-saving tackle, Miles would have a bigger lead.
51-yard return. What was really interesting on that play, the man that eventually caught Rollins was the man that initially missed him, Brandon Hooks. That was the man with the first shot at him.
That's what you call staying with it. And
realizing you made a mistake and you know you had to atone and quickly.
And you call me the hard guy.
Not good. Always run him over there and change the ball. Okay, that's all you need.
So Miles with a golden opportunity on its opening series of the first half to add to its 10-7 lead. Ball at the 12-yard line, courtesy that 51-yard punt return by Charlie Rollins. Nicholas Smith over center. Pierre Braxton on the ground, a pickup of maybe 4.
That's the first time we saw Pierre Braxton get a call today. One of those quartet of running backs, pardon me, that Coach Streeter was telling us about. And it's key for Miles here, Dwayne, to remain aggressive. The last time they got a turnover, they went right after Tuskegee to score a touchdown on the first play. I don't think Coach Streeter wants to get into a 3rd and long or even a 3rd and short situation here. I think you got to attack Tuskegee.
2nd and 5 from the 7. Braxton fighting and losing the battle.
See, those play calls right there.
Andre Benz and teammates drag him down. Braxton's a pretty big fellow, 5'9", 230-pound freshman from Birmingham. And Drayton Florence, 6 feet tall there, 190 pounds. Florence is lucky he had help.
But Tuskegee does a good job in run support, forcing him to the outside. Now, he's the kind of guy that's a bruising running back.
He broke a lot of tackles on that play.
He wants to go between the tackles.
Yeah, and he throws Florence off.
He certainly does. But see, you got to run him between the tackles. Getting to the outside plays into the quickness of Tuskegee's defense.
And all of that was a loss of 1. Smith looking to the air. There were 3 crimson jerseys around his intended receiver, Alvin Norris.
Well, they're going to try a field goal here, but I think if Coach Streeter had this series of plays back, he probably throws a pass on 2nd down. You know, because it forced Tuskegee, it forced Miles into a passing situation. Tuskegee then can play pass defense. They had an extra defensive back end, rotated him over. The pass by Smith was thrown into double coverage.
Jeff Burns from 25 yards away. Add 3 more to the Miles tally. The Golden Bears now lead their arch rival, Golden Tigers, 13-7 here at Tuskegee University.
Yeah, but that's an emotional victory for Tuskegee from the standpoint of they're at home. They only gave up 3. They're only a touchdown and an extra point away from the lead.
Miles leads at 13-7 early in the 3rd quarter. Time for our NBC trivia question of the week. Mark, put on your thinking cap. Which school holds the record for the highest number of wins in black college football? If you think you know the answer, viewers and friends, log on to www.nbcnetwork.com and give us your answer. We'll pass along the correct answer later on in the television.
Are we allowed to give hints?
No, you may not do that right now. That's an infraction of the rules. No. Be nice. Miles kicking away. And Kimball, the receiver, on the receiving end of the kick. He breaks 4 or 5 tackles before he's finally held up and tackled by Brian Williams.
Well, I'm a little shocked that we've got a little verbal sparring going on out there by Tuskegee's Kimball, because you know, they're the championship team. They're the team that's supposed to maintain their composure, and I think the pressure, if ever so slightly, beginning to start, I don't know, a chink at the armor just a little bit.
First and 10 for Tuskegee at the 40. Matthew Hazel into the secondary for a first down pickup.
Well, they found something soft in the center of the Tuskegee defense. Excuse me, Tuskegee has found something soft in the center of the Miles defense, and when you get a head on Biner and Goggins, that normally takes Oliver out of the play as well, and that's the hole they went up. It was nothing fancy. It was a smash mouth football.
18-yard pickup, 11 carries, and 90 yards from Matthew Hazel. First down at the 42 of Miles. This time, the Golden Bears were ready defensively.
Well, they sealed that hole up that time, and Oliver came through there and was one of the culprits who stuffed it.
Walter Goggins losing his helmet, but in on the tackle. Tuskegee has produced 100-yard rushers over the last 14 games. The opening 3 of this season, Florence is the man that has them. But right now, as we just mentioned, Matthew Hazel is 10 yards away from a 100-yard performance.
Something about defense and running the football that wins championships, huh?
Florence with 42. On second down, to the air goes Jones. Has Hazel near a first down along the far sideline, where he stopped. That's just by Brian Williams.
Good, efficient offensive play call right here out of the shotgun. He's going to find his receiver on a little curl as he releases out of the backfield. And that's a good hit. Good stepping up out there in space, making a tackle that time. Brian Williams, if he doesn't make that tackle, Hazel probably goes to the house.
Brings up 3rd and 1 at the Miles 34. Hazel, this time he stopped and quickly. Boy, our tempers starting to flare down.
They really are.
That was Joe Killens, the man we spoke of at the top of the telecast, but have called his name few times this game.
Well, one thing about Tuskegee, when you've got a defensive player like that, he definitely, you know where he is at all times, and they've made a point to keep a head on Joe Killens all day.
6'3", 255-pound senior. On 4th down, Rick Comagee elects to go for it. 1 yard for a first down at the 34. And they may not have gotten it. This is going to be close. James Biner comes up to make the stop on Matthew Hazel.
Well, Coach Streeter thought that coming into this game, in order to attack a player like Killings, Tuskegee would probably try to run right at him. They ran away from him, and they ran into a goal wall, and
the Golden Bear defensive unit puts up a stand.
Great pursuit. They just string the play outside, and once again from the backside, Bonner makes the tackle. Bonner is just having a huge game. There's big number 98. Yeah, you earned the cold one there, big fella.
6'2", 270-pound sophomore from Birmingham. Now Nicholas Smith and the offense take over at their 34-yard line, leading 13-7.
Well, they with the lead.
Is this the time to become conservative with 7:46 to go in the 3rd quarter?
Now, at this point, I guess if I'm calling the signals, I'm looking to get deep. But I got to believe Coach Streeter is figuring out right now what's available deep. And there's a look at Joe Killings.
Coach Streeter told us that he has just one motor, and he's all out, and he's so impressive.
So now you got to believe with 3 wide receivers in and a spread set, he's going to be looking deep.
Looking to throw. Nearly has a receiver. His tight end, DeWarren Baldwin, but he was well covered.
Yeah, he was well covered that time. Nobody bought the play action that time. And see, when you're not having a great deal of success, it's not going to freeze the linebackers at all. And they continue bearing down on him. But again, you know, that's a technique pass. That's one of those situations where if he just takes a little something off of it. He's able to find Baldwin, who had broken into the flat. Instead, he's got 3rd and long.
7-4 first down. Ball at the 37. Smith had a receiver. It's intercepted.
That's Florence again.
Drayton Florence rings up 6 more for the Tuskegee Golden Tigers defensive unit.
So the score now is Miles Collins 13, Drayton Florence 13. You just got the sense that the inability to get a touchdown on the last drive would hurt Miles, and here's a pass that's just a bad pass. Watch his feet right here. Let's see. Great cut move by Florence. And he comes right back to the line near here. Does he? Yes, he does step out of bounds.
Wow.
So
Good call by the official.
So it is not a touchdown.
46-yard return, though, sets up the offensive unit in great shape at the 12-yard line of Miles.
Almost if you're Miles' defense, you got, all right, I got you where I want you now in the red zone.
Drayton Florence, a social work major from Ocala, Florida, doing a social work job on Miles this afternoon.
I don't think the Miles players think that Mr. Florence is too sociable right now.
Brian Russell on the carry. Joe Killens coming up with the stop.
See, I think, let's take a look at the out-of-bounds step out right here. Right there on the line at about the 12-yard line, Miles dodges a bullet.
You know, he was looking down. He was aware that he was in the area of the out-of-bounds line.
If he scored a touchdown that close to the line, that would have been a tightrope job to make with Linda proud.
2nd down.
Nothing going on in the center on that play.
James Biner once again leading the charges defensively for the Golden Bears, along with William Robinson. That brings up 3rd down.
Going back to the interception, maybe you didn't understand why Coach Streeter was playing a little bit more conservative on that previous drive.
Tuskegee at the 10-yard line. Their offensive unit for the Golden Tigers has had a problem scoring in this territory over the last couple of games. Completion for Terrence Jones.
I'm not sure he got enough for the first down.
Down to Kenneth Horton. It's going to be close.
Well, when you got Travis Gums, who's your weapon, you go ahead and you see, not a good pass route.
Well, Killens was right there to stop any forward motion.
Yeah, but he broke his route off too early. I mean, if you're running a square in like that, you got to know where the first down marker is before you make your break.
21-yard attempt for Travis Gums, #1 kicker in the conference. His aim is true and accurate. So Tuskegee gets 3 of those points back, and it's 13-10. But once again, the ineffectiveness of Tuskegee's offensive unit in what is called the red zone.
Boy, Travis Gums is even more impressive because he still hasn't had a good snap, be it as a punter or a place kicker. Son, you earned your meal money this evening.
13-10, Miles leads. 13, Tuskegee 10. The Golden Bears leading their arch rivals by 3. The countdown is on to the Willie E. Gary Classic this next weekend in Jacksonville, Florida, September 27th and 28th, Friday at 8 p.m., Jagged Edge and Morris Day. And the time, kick off the festivities Friday night at 8 at Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Call Ticketmaster for more information. Mark Gray may join them on stage. Who knows?
Well, I heard you were playing the part of Morris Day, and I was just going to be Jerome.
No, you didn't.
I did hear that. I'm the one that's supposed to carry your mirror.
Oh, boy, that would be tragic. 4:51 left in the 3rd quarter. Frank Adair will field the Combs kickoff at his own 3-yard line, and he is brought down rapidly by Gary Dozier II, who covers a lot of ground.
Boy, doesn't he? Getting back there like DJ Dozier back in the days at Penn State. But here you go. Now it'll be interesting to see how Coach Streeter goes on the attack offensively here. And I think when you put your quarterback in a 3rd and long or a 2nd and long situation, you force them into many mistakes. And I think if they're going to attack, go after Tuskegee. I know they have a talented defensive backfield. I know Drayton Florence has 2 interceptions. But if you're going to attack, you're going to have to attack vertically, and you have to attack early in the series. Don't wait till 3rd and long.
1st and 10 from the 17-yard line. Nicholas Smith out of the shotgun. Has a man open. He's beaten the defense, and he cannot hang on.
Well, they got what they wanted. 4 receivers, 4 defensive backs, and Chris Bryant has a step on his man, and he can't haul it in. I mean, you can't add. Good read, one-on-one coverage. Bryant has a step on the defensive back that time, and it just goes off his fingertips. Man. Boy,
pass was there.
Brian Brunson, a linebacker out there in coverage. He can't stick with a receiver.
Wade Streeter wants to take a moment, collect his thoughts, discuss it with his team. They lead it by 3.
Hey, keep your composure, Nick.
Miles College looking for more, leading 13-10. 3rd quarter, 13-10. Miles leads with the ball on 2nd and 10 from its own 17-yard line. Smith out of the shotgun. Time to throw, and releases it for Alex Baraka. Miles, a golden opportunity on that last play.
Well, nice little safe route there. It's an interesting decision for Coach Streeter. Now, you know it's a passing situation, but you do have Marvin Irving in the center of your offensive line. If there's ever an opportunity to run a draw play, here it is.
He has Tyrone Coleman lined up next to him, number 23. It is 3rd and 5. Man in motion is Bryant. That ball was tipped away by Jordan Brumbaugh.
Nick Smith beginning to show signs of frustration as he comes off the sideline.
We asked you the trivia question earlier. Which school holds the record for the highest number of wins in black college football? Drum roll, please. Mark, would you hazard to guess?
Tuskegee University, 547 wins and counting.
The winningest program in the history of black college football. 548 is going to be hard to come by for Rick Comegee. Right now, his Golden Tigers trail at 13-10. On the punt, Smiley ends up throwing a pass. His intended receiver was Lewis Traylor.
Wow. And you can hear
Coach Streeter.
Yeah, that's a spirited discussion.
That was Coach Streeter you heard.
But both of these long snappers need to go to long snap camp because it's just been difficult. And now,
that's the voice of Coach Wade Streeter admonishing his punter Matthew Smiley on the sideline.
Smiley has nothing to smile about. Neither does Coach Streeter at this juncture. Now the burden of proof on the defense once again. Sooner or later, they're going to wear down. And the 4th quarter has not been too kind to the Golden Bears this year.
That miscue by Smiley gives Tuskegee the ball at the 24-yard line. Time for Jones to throw. Overthrows his receiver. There are flags in the offensive backfield.
And he had Colin Kimball wide open in the end zone. I mean, there was nothing but 20 yards between Kimball and the nearest defensive back. And not only does Jones make a bad read, but in his rolling out of the pocket, I think there's going to be a chop block call against Tuskegee. Boy, watch. Well, there's a hole on number 51 there, but if he looks down the field, does Jones. Kimball has broken wide open in the back of the end zone. Wow. Well, when you when you have
holding against Tuskegee.
When you're trying to pull an upset, especially on the road, you need a couple of breaks. Miles just got one. A bad read that time by Terrence Jones, who had Kimball in the end zone.
That sets the Golden Tigers back to the 34-yard line. 1st and 20. And now in at quarterback is John Flynn. His first pass attempt of the day is nearly intercepted, batted around. And boy, that came close to biting Coach Comedy.
Well, you know, that's just a great defensive play. He doesn't make the interception, but Charles Phillips does a good job at giving his teammate a chance to make it. Now the pass goes over the head of Oliver, and then you see 46 there. He tried to tap it back into the hands of Oliver. He's just back there, number 46, just to the right of your picture there, as Flynn sets in the pocket. See, number 12 gets his hand on the football, and then number 46 tries to tap it back to number 12.
Flynn is out. Terrence Jones is back in. 3rd down. Miscommunication. Chris Bates did not realize the ball was on its way.
Well, he had to let that pass go early. The receiver didn't have a chance to get out of his pass route because the blitz. They loaded the line. More guys at the line of scrimmage than there were guys to block them. And it was like a jailbreak up in the center. And that forced Jones to let that pass go before he wanted to. So a huge 3rd down situation here for Tuskegee.
Tuskegee trailing 13-10 at home against Miles. Here comes the rush. Jones evades it. Downfield, has a receiver. Touchdown, Tuskegee.
That's great coaching. I think somebody, when Coach Comedy pulled this quarterback out, he told him to look for Kimball in the end zone when he gets outside the pocket. 2 plays before, when he was under duress, he never looked for Kimball. This time under duress, he finds him, and Tuskegee has the lead.
The all-conference receiver from Birmingham hauls in a big pass on 3rd down. And it's 6 points for Tuskegee. The extra point is up and good. The Golden Tigers now have the lead, 17-13. Courtesy that man's pass catch.
Boy, that's just a marvelous job of keeping your head in the pocket this time. And once, the blitz came, he did a great job of avoiding it. And that time, Phillips was beaten. He thought Jones was going to take off with the football. That allowed Kimball to get behind him. And 30-some-odd yards later, Tuskegee has the lead.
34-yard reception by Kimball now has Tuskegee on top, 17-13 with 3:09 left to go in the 3rd quarter. America's favorite garbage man is back in prime time. Rock rocks on NBC Network. Tune in Wednesdays for back-to-back episodes. Wednesdays at 8 and 8:30 p.m. on NBC, your family's urban network for rock. So now Tuskegee University is back on top. And Mark, you think it was because of something that probably was said to the quarterback by a coach?
Well, often you hear about quarterbacks having to know the reads and know their progressions, and especially when you're running outside of the pocket. And I got to believe that when Coach Comedy took Jones out, he got in his ear and he told him, look, if you get outside the pocket, young fella, look for Kimball. We're going to send it to the back of the end zone. 2 plays before that, he got outside the pocket. He ended up forcing a pass that was a 2-hop grounder. This time he connects with his receiver, and his team has the lead.
Travis Gumbs kickoff sails out of bounds. Miles College's offense now out to take the field, led by Nicholas Smith.
Well, it's game time now for Miles. You know, receivers got to hold on to the football. I mean, think about a 14-point swing. You know, Chris Warren had an opportunity to make a big play earlier. He doesn't hold on to the football when he has a step behind the linebacker. Tuskegee comes back down. They get a 6-point
Ball at the 35-yard line. Now, the Tuskegee band is doing something the Miles band did earlier in the game, playing while the opposition has the ball. That is proscribed specifically by rules of the game.
Also means you just shouldn't play when the other team has the ball.
Okay, Mark. From the 35, first down, Smith looking to the air, short hops it, intended for his tight end, DeWarren Baldwin.
And we got a holding call on Miles. So the wheels are slowly but surely coming off of the cart here now.
Smith 5 of 21, 90 yards, 1 touchdown. Those 2 interceptions hurt.
The first one, well, both of them, well, actually, Miles dodged a bullet on the first one. The second one led to 3 points. But they both were drive killers.
With the penalty, Golden Bears now back at the 25-yard line on 2nd down and 20. Smith time to throw. Has Matthews along the sidelines. Escorting him was David Musa, and there is a flag.
A little bit of contact down there. There certainly was.
Matthews slow to get up. Matter of fact, he is still on the ground. Appears to be hurt.
I wonder, did he hurt something or did he just cramp up?
Well, it is very humid and hot here in southern Alabama on a Saturday afternoon.
Let's see, we've got a trip right there. And I just wonder, is it a knee or an ankle? Or...
Appeared to be his right leg.
Wow. You hate to see that.
Matthews, 5'10", 170-pound senior from Gordo, Alabama. Beautiful Saturday afternoon here at the place that Booker T. Washington founded in 1881, stored in prestigious Tuskegee University.
Did you think Booker T. ever thought that they would be tailgating on his yard?
Maybe that's what the T stood for. And actually, I know it stood for Taliaferro. I know it wasn't, but I couldn't resist the opportunity there.
That's a quality. They got a quality tailgating environment over there.
They do. They do. People are tailgating. Hibachis abound, and nice smells wafting through the air.
Yes.
So Matthews walks off under his own power. His teammates continue their drive. 2nd and 20 from their 25-yard line.
So I guess there was an infraction against Miles on that previous possession.
Raymond McLemore was on the carry. He bobbled the ball before he ever hit the line of scrimmage. And there are more flags on the field. Matthews seems to be still in a little discomfort.
Formation. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage.
Illegal formation, not enough men on the line of scrimmage. That's a 5-yard penalty against the Golden Bears. Golden was not the word for what they just did. Real Reviews coming up on NBC on Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Before you head to the box office for the next new movie, watch Real Reviews. Find out the scoop on what's hot and what's not. That's Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. on NBC. 2nd down and 25 from the 22-yard line for Miles, which suddenly is having problems getting into an offensive flow. Smith out of the shotgun, under pressure. Gets it away, but Joseph Martin was bearing down on him.
But you see, if Calvin Russell takes his pass route when his quarterback gets outside the pocket and shoots downfield, they're probably able to connect. Miles receivers aren't doing as good a job at improvising as Tuskegee's receivers have. And when your quarterback gets outside the pocket and he starts improvising, you've got to improvise too.
Once again, 3rd and 25, ball at the 22-yard line of Miles. Golden Bears trail at 13-17. More pressure on Smith. He manages to get away from one, throws it up, And it was a free-for-all.
Yeah,
Ball falls down to the ground, but he was fortunate it wasn't intercepted.
Well, remember when we talked with Coach Streeter last night, and he talked about staying within yourself, letting the game come to you? Nick Smith that time just tried to force it, and he's fortunate that his team doesn't give up the ball, although they will have to punt. But see, watch. Blitz comes down. He does a good job of avoiding. He gets outside of containment there, and then he lost a prayer. 5 red jerseys, 3 gold jerseys, and that doesn't bode well if you're wearing gold.
Stanton at his 45-yard line tries to get out of bounds. Still on his feet. Initially, DeWarren Baldwin had him. He got away from him. A pile of human flesh down on the near sideline. A dejected and disappointed Nicholas Smith right now, not happy with the way their offense is working. And what Coach Streeter told us last night was this young man, he has it. He is absolutely sure he has it. But it's a matter of putting it together and learning how to use it and how to make good decisions.
90% of the game is mental at this level. I mean, when you get right down to it, everybody practices the same amount of time. The talent pool is not a great disparity between the two teams. Just comes down to, mentally execute, knowing what you're supposed to do, and then getting it done.
There's an injured player on the near sideline. Miles player, we can't quite make out the number yet. He's being tended to by staff. That's a good sign. He's sitting up now. Third quarter scoring, Mark. So far we have 2:18 remaining, but there have been some fireworks.
There certainly have been. You look at Miles, they came out early. They get a long field goal here. Then Tuskegee comes along. They get another one. And here comes the play of the afternoon to this point. Jones outside the pocket, improvising, finding his receiver, Kellen Campbell, making an all-conference caliber play.
Injured player was Frank Adair, walked off the field under his own power. Good sign. 1st and 10 at the 45-yard line for Tuskegee. And Joe Killen and company, along with John Oliver, close quickly.
Well, Miles, to their credit, has played a stellar defensive game. Where Tuskegee's offense was able to score in the first half, I think Miles' defense is going to have to score here in the second half.
Pickup of just 1 on the play. Inside of 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Second man through is Matthew Hazel. Ball is fumbled, recovered by Miles. What a big break for the Golden Bears. Charlie Phillips comes up with a loose ball.
Well, he got burned for the touchdown on the previous possession, and once again, I think you're going to see some helmet on football here. Hole opens up real nicely, and, well, I take that back. He ran into the backside of one of his big nasties, and the ball fell to the turf, and it was recovered by Phillips. A huge play for Miles to get some of that momentum back.
Now, can the Miles offensive unit get back into any fluidity, any motion whatsoever? 1st and 10 for the Golden Bears, 39-yard line. Trailing 13-10. Coleman has running room, stays on his feet, picks up about 7.
Now guys like Marvin Irving and the big nasties up front for Miles have got to impose their will on this game. We issued the challenge to Tuskegee's up front in the first, to start the second half. Burden of proof now clearly on the likes of Irving and company on that Miles offensive front.
Second and short, it's Coleman again. Gets just enough for the first down.
Well, we're fast approaching the bewitching quarter for Miles.
Golden Bears have yet to score in the fourth quarter this season, is what my partner is alluding to. Joe Killen and the defensive unit have done a really good job. With the exception of the touchdown pass to Kimball, there have been few breakdowns.
Right. Yeah, they've done a good job in pressure, done a solid job in coverage. On occasion, they've been soft in the middle, giving up some big chunks of yardage in the run game. And Smith is going to check off here.
Smith changing the play at the line of scrimmage. under pressure, has a receiver open, has his man along the far sideline.
Well, that's a great check by a quarterback that's getting confident in his offense. And Chris Bryant, who dropped one earlier, makes a good play. It's timing right here. I mean, Smith saw blitz coming, and he checked into the right play. He checks into this to get one-on-one coverage. Lofts a beautiful pass out there this time. And this is, you know, when Coach Streeter talks about a quarterback having it, that's one of those passes that shows you what it really is.
40-yard pickup on the reception by Charlie Bryant. Chris Bryant. 1st and 10. Roderick Washington and Andre Benz on the stop. Coleman, very little. And that's going to end the 3rd quarter. Tuskegee's Golden Tigers lead Miles Golden Bears 17-13. We have 1 quarter left to play here in Tuskegee.
Play hard, play rough, be strong, be tough, take charge, dig deep, hold on, bring heat. It's game time, sports fan.
Tuskegee leading at 17-13 as we begin the 4th quarter. And one day, Lawson, Mark Gray, Dwayne Ballin, our entire NBC college football crew here with you. Wade Streeter's Miles College Golden Bears had the lead against their arch rivals, now trail at 17-13, but are within striking distance at the 8-yard line of Tuskegee.
No team had scored on Tuskegee in the 1st quarter prior till today. Miles had scored in the 4th quarter coming into this final period.
Smith into the end zone, and there were a lot of crimson jerseys in the end zone, along with Charlie Rollins.
If he's going to make that pass, he's got to throw it out of the end zone. That was one of those situations where it could have easily been picked off. Smith forcing it once again. Fortunate that time. See, look, it's not happening. There's nothing, and there's nobody open. So he's going to force it into the center of the field. 3 red jerseys, 1 gold jersey in that area. That's a recipe for disaster.
Frank Walker really had a bead on his 2nd interception if he could have gotten up just a little higher. Now it's 3rd and 7. Miles, we mentioned it earlier, that bears worth repeating, has yet to score in the 4th quarter this season.
And they don't have to get into the end zone to pick up a 1st down here.
4 receivers deployed by Miles on this set. Alvin Norris in motion. Nicholas out of the shotgun. He was looking for Charlie Rollins, but that play developed rather quickly.
Well, it was thwarted in large part thanks to Jordan Brumbaugh coming on a bit of a stunt. They tried to run a little pick play where your slot receiver go to the sideline and the outside receiver come back inside. But Brumbaugh's pressure forced that pass to be delivered too early. And now Miles is going to have to play for 3.
Jeff Burns to attempt a 25-yard field goal. And that is good. Burns from 25 pulls the Golden Bears to within 1 of the Golden Tigers, 17-16. The first points of the 4th quarter in this 2002 season for Miles College. It's a 1-point game here in Tuskegee. On 17-16, 14:42 to go in the ball game. Miles College ready to kick away to its rival. You see Abbott Stadium here on the campus of Tuskegee University, built in 1920. Very nice looking facility. Kimball fields it at his 11-yard line. Runs across field trying to find room, cutting back, and goes down. Marlo Young was the first man to get to him. There is a flag on the play at the 35-yard line of Tuskegee. time to take a look at our Verizon long-distance play of the game. Mark?
Well, normally when you talk long-distance plays in the game, you think pass plays. But here, going straight up the middle, that's Matthew Hazel. As the coverage is blowing, were it not for Phillips, who brings him down in the secondary, he would have taken it to the house. But that's your long-distance play of the game, brought to you by Verizon.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line, which that will change as the officials mark off the infraction. So a mental mistake, costly for Tuskegee.
Well, the burden of proof here quickly swings back to Tuskegee's O-line. I mean, they got they've got the ability to run the football. I think we might have a Cortland Florence sighting. And what's dangerous about him right now is that he's got fresh legs.
Florence, the leading rusher in the conference, gets the call over the right side, picks up a first down. Coach Gray was right on it. Fresh legs make a lot of difference in the 4th quarter.
And that just makes, when Dwayne Parker and Bruce Lawrence get off the line of scrimmage as well as they did that time, he's able to hit that hole quicker.
Florence comes in averaging 149 yards per game. Last week in a win over Benedict, he had 136 yards and a touchdown.
The winning touchdown in overtime, no less.
Today it's been more the Matthew Hazel show on the ground.
When you've got the multitude of backs that Comagee has, you're able to use them judiciously as he's done today.
Charlie Phillips on the stop. Finley.
Miles looks defensively, DB, like they're laboring just a little bit. You know, you see hands on hips and sucking a little bit more wind. Tuskegee getting more surge at the point of attack.
2nd and 5. It's Florence into the open field. Finally knocked out of bounds by Grant Bennett, but not before getting deep into Miles' territory on a 55-yard run.
Well, it's a little cutback action, a trap. He finds a hole. They're not able to bring him down. He dances to the outside, and it's off to the races goes Cortland Florence. And were it not for a good angle that time by Grant Bennett, he takes this one to the house.
Florence now has 108 yards rushing on 14 carries.
Lombardi said fatigue makes cowards of us all. And you look at a tiring defensive front for Miles.
And that defensive front is bending on that play as the freshman Sajatson Finley gets close to another first down. Let's check in within 1 day loss.
I'll tell you guys, you don't have to actually be on the football field in order to have a big rivalry going on. In fact, right within Coach Wade Streeter's own family, they've got an enormous rivalry going on because he's got family members both from Tuskegee as well as graduates of Miles College. In fact, his own great-grandfather was the first quarterback of the Tuskegee football team. So a lot of rivalry going on over there.
Thank you. In 1 day, that was William Berry, as Matthew Hazel has the carry, was his great-grandfather, quarterback for the Crimson.
So he
not surprising, Coach Streeter ended up being a quarterback.
Yeah. Coach Streeter told us, he said every time they face Tuskegee, it is special. And there's Joe Killens right there, who's been rather quiet this afternoon. But you got to give Tuskegee's offensive line credit. This is a clutch performance by them in a much-needed drive.
Ball now at the 8. Leading by 1, Tuskegee looking for more. Florence. Stopped by Grant Bennett and James Purdy.
Must be nice if you're Rick Comagee to know that while Matthew Hazel is getting up huge yardage in the first 3 quarters, that you've got a trump card like Cortland Florence. And Tuskegee now has had a back rush for over 100 yards in, 15 straight games now?
That's right. And for Messer Florence, that is 4 consecutive games.
And Hazel only needs 5 yards to eclipse the century mark.
Jones rolling out, has a man in the end zone. He had it. It is ruled a touchdown.
Boy, that's a quick 6. Did he ever really come down with the football?
Christopher Bates is granted a touchdown.
Wow. I'm anxious when we get a chance to look at this one on the replay because I'm not quite sure his feet ever hit the ground. That's a great job by him staying in contact with his quarterback. 1 foot, 2 feet down, touchdown. Good call by the officials.
Very good work by the officials. He had it.
You see Tuskegee's receivers continuing to do a better job improvising with their quarterback than our Miles.
Point after by Travis Gums is good. And now the Golden Tigers beginning to look more, at least on the scoreboard, like the #1 team in the SIAC, leading 24-16.
Well, you know something? This way your quarterback has to step up, rally his troops, and say, fellas, hey, we got to make some plays here. Get me down there. That's what, you know something? At the risk of sounding like a shill, I remember standing on the sidelines, early 90s. There was a quarterback at Howard trailing by 2 touchdowns. His name was Jay Walker. He rallied against A&T at home.
It's Tuskegee leading at 24-16. Tuskegee leading at 24-16, 11-10 left in the game. Coach Gray, let's take a look at your keys to winning and how they have played out so far in the game.
Well, we thought coming in that Miles was going to have to contain Cortland Florence. They haven't done it. He's up over 115 yards now. And we thought that they had to finish big, play a strong 4th quarter. They've given up a touchdown after their offense had pulled them to within 1. So hasn't really worked out for Miles. On the other side for Tuskegee, we said they had to do a better job finishing in the red zone. They really haven't done that, but they have maintained their defensive intensity and they played a solid defensive game. Miles has been able to take advantage of a couple of turnovers to stay in this game, but the bottom line is Miles has got to find a way to jumpstart a frenetic 4th quarter finish.
4th quarter has been a tremendous quarter for Tuskegee this season. Travis Gums kickoff. Frank Adair and Charlie Rollins awaiting it. It's Rollins. And he's whacked very hard by Schuler Weaver. Wow, what a hit.
That, my friends, is the kamikaze mission on special teams. Man.
Weaver just leveled him.
Well, it seems like the wedge is set up, but somebody misses a block, and you talk about paying the price. Man, Charlie Rollins pays the price. But I guess we have some kind of Are we kicking over again? What?
Offsides called on the kickoff. Let's check in with Nwande Lawson.
Well, I tell you guys, if you look behind me there, you see some pretty tired-looking Miles players, and the same, of course, if we look across the field as well. I think heat perhaps playing a bit of a role. They tell me it's in the low 90s down here, a lot of humidity. We've actually had several members of both bands taken away by ambulance based on heat exhaustion. So I guess the 4th quarter is a test of stamina.
Thank you, Nwande. Coach Gray, whom does that favor? The fatigue factor. We're talking quality of depth now.
Tuskegee. I mean, from top to bottom, they have more quality players, 2nd, 3rd line competitors than Miles does at this point in the program. I mean, it's been a physical game. It's been an emotional game. And you really can't put a price on the emotional energy that was spent by Miles early in the contest. They came out with an edge to them, and it seems like now that they need to reach into the reserve, well, it's just not there.
Rollins fields a kickoff at his 5, and once again, for the 2nd time in a row, he is leveled very hard. This time doing the honors was Francois Thomas. He's going to go back to the sidelines and say, look, coach, I'd really rather not do it if that's going to happen on every play.
Yeah, he's going to definitely reconsider volunteering for the assignment of returning kicks.
So Miles. Oh, poor guy. Now let's keep in mind now that Charlie Rollins is a much smaller man than Francois Thomas, who's 6'2", 221 pounds. Rushing total yards favor Tuskegee over Miles.
And that last drive, though, is the difference in yardage.
Flags down on the play.
You can hear in the background that Miles coaches are calling for a face mask penalty.
Rod Washington closing quickly to stop on defensively. Face mask is called against Tuskegee. That's a break really for Miles, because that play was going nowhere.
Yeah.
Rod Washington had read that perfectly. Now here we are, 10:50 to go in the fourth quarter.
Still a game.
Still a game, but Miles, as you mentioned and Wande just referred to, expended so much energy in this game physically. And now here they are facing this 8-point deficit.
This is where you need a leader to step up. This is where Nick Smith has the rein in his emotions and sees command of the opportunity. You know, challenges are nothing more than opportunities for success.
1st and 10 from the 40. Coleman catches it, knocked out of bounds. Once again, Mr. Schuler making his presence felt. Schuler Weaver.
Wow. Schuler, where's he been all day? Maybe he too is playing with fresh legs all of a sudden.
6'1", 228-pound sophomore from Smiths, Alabama. Quite a few players naturally from the Alabama State general area. Birmingham is the general area where Miles is located.
And you know, this is a football hotbed. You start talking about Alabama, you're talking about, you know, the three things for sure in life: death, taxes, and football.
2nd and 14 from the 36. Smith has a receiver. Does he have the first down?
No,
it's Adair.
He's short.
Oh, he's nowhere near the first down. The question was whether or not he was back to the original line of scrimmage.
There it is.
Operator error. A sincere mea culpa, folks.
That means he's sorry.
So that's 3rd and long.
Well, here, in my opinion, here it is right now. Because if Miles is off, defense has to go right back on the field. You pretty much can put a fork in him.
3rd and 9. Out of the shotgun is Smith. Under pressure. He gets it away. This is floating up there.
Just a bad pass.
Chris Bryant basically was shielding the defender away from the ball is what he was doing there. He didn't want Carlos Leggins to intercept it.
And you know, Nick Smith, and there's the demeanor of a frustrated young quarterback.
And watch Coach Wade Streeter as he comes off and he's talking to him.
See, watch. One-on-one situation. You've got the matchup that you want. And unfortunately, Chris Bryant can't make a play with Carlos Leggins in coverage. So a tired Miles D will have to step up and try to make another play.
Stanton fields the punt bravely at his 25-yard line, but had no chance. Marlo Young and Antonio Nelson were there waiting for him. Now, Stanton is a brave soul. He's an all-conference return specialist, but that probably was not the smartest move.
Two ways that you can look at that last play. He was either very smart or he's very crazy.
Tuskegee will have it with the lead when we return. Looking group of Miles Golden Bears. They've expended a lot of energy over the last 3.5 quarters. They trail at 24-16 here in Tuskegee. Sunny and very warm afternoon. 3D's Funk Studio coming up Fridays here on NBC. We gave you just a quick taste of it there. 1st and 10 from the 25 for Tuskegee.
See, those hits that were stopping people in the backfield in the first 3 quarters are not happening right now for Miles' defense.
So Jason Finley powering his way for yardage. NBC is really committed to good, clean programming. Last night, it launched a new hip-hop show that Mom, Dad, and the kids watch together. 3D's Funk Studio. If you missed it, host Dennis Scott 3D will be back each Friday at 10 p.m. with a new episode of the hottest and cleanest videos. That's here on NBC. 2nd and 5. It's Killen on the reception. Eludes a couple of defenders. gets down to the 35-yard line, just beyond it, maybe enough for a first down.
Smart play by Kimball that time. Part of that game within the game that we often talk about. Instead of turning to the outside and going out of bounds and avoiding the hit, he turned back inside, took the punishment, but the clock keeps moving.
Computer science major from Birmingham, 6 feet, 160 pounds, a senior. There is the sense also, Coach, that now momentum is firmly with Tuskegee.
Oh, definitely. After the touchdown, the burden of proof was clearly on Miles' own. As I look down below us, I look at the Miles offensive team, and they almost look as though they're beaten.
First down.
You can understand how the defense for Miles is worn out because Tuskegee has lined it up here recently and just gone smash mouth on them. You can understand that. However, you can't understand why the offense seemingly is worn out. Haven't had the ball that much in the second half.
Ball at the 35. Tuskegee. They keep it on the ground. Florence doesn't get too much. James Biner comes up with the tackle. There are flags on the field.
That's a bad penalty for Tuskegee.
Coming up next, Delaware State versus Florida A&M University in Dover, Delaware. Billy Joel's Gulf Coast offense. We saw it last week, and it's really impressive. Young Casey Printers.
Young Casey Printers is not expected to play in that game. The bad ankle, expected to keep him out. And they're also out. Heart goes out to Sean Kelly, the linebacker from Florida A&M. Out for the season, tore his knee up, probably going to be redshirted. Led the conference in sacks last year as a freshman.
Charlie Neal and Jay Walker will have that game for you. Killen was covered and well, but there is a flag thrown at the 40-yard line.
That's a horrendous call. Sorry.
Now, Grant Bennett.
It's an uncatchable pass.
And Quentin Allen were there with him. Killen up limping, favoring his right leg.
Unless this is a personal foul for a Spirit, it's. Let's take a look. He's got great protection. It's a post pattern. It goes right into a double coverage situation, and
Killen certainly wanted the flag thrown.
Let's better angle right here. See, that's just that's.
So Grant Bennett, there was the infraction. He hit Killen before the ball ever arrived.
It was an uncatchable pass.
And that's a mistake that a coach simply cannot tolerate.
Not when you're down by 8 with 8 to go, trying to make a comeback on the road.
That gives Tuskegee a first down, and it's on 38-yard line. Ball on the ground again. It's Jason Finley. And the ball is loose, or is it? No, the officials indicate it was down. So Jason Finley, who's been carrying the ball recently, number 32, 6 feet, 210-pound freshman from Opelika. 7:59 to go here in Tuskegee, Alabama.
I have been to Opelika.
There are very few places that you have not been, from what I understand. First and 10 from the 40. Florence, fresh legs. Doesn't get too far out. Nice pursuit by Johnny Hopkins.
And they strung the play out, and Hopkins does a good job of coming up and making a tackle, a big tackle. It's unfortunate for Miles that he stays in bounds, though, because the clock continues to run. It's a situation where if Miles gives up another first down, even if they stop Tuskegee on the next series of possessions, when their offense gets the ball, okay, figuratively speaking, of course, it'd be too much field for them now.
Jones under pressure, releases, finds Lewis, who has another first down.
Well, again, they're playing soft in the secondary, and he just finds an open area in the zone. And when his quarterback gets outside the pocket, he just sits there, waits for the ball to come to him.
And now the offensive line for Tuskegee, as you mentioned, is really beginning to dominate the game.
They certainly are. You see, he just sits in that little open area, and they just don't have enough quickness. The linebacker can't get out there that time. That was our guy that we spoke about early in the contest, Joe Killens. He wasn't able to get out there in coverage, and it's a big first down. Clock continuing to roll now.
Florence on the ground, and he's tripped up.
Unless Tuskegee can put another helmet on the football one more time, Tuskegee's going to move to 4-0.
Look at Florence, who runs the 40-yard dash, 4.4 seconds. Florence from Fort Lauderdale, junior. He gets the call again, this time outside. And pursuing him is Joe Killens, bringing him down.
Killens, the omnipresent one, had been this we thought he would be. I mean, he hasn't been all over the field. I'm sure he doesn't have those 10 or 12 tackles, and certainly doesn't have any sacks that Coach Streeter talked about. His team was going to be successful.
Jones to the air, and the closest potential receiver is Johnny Hopkins. Problem is, he wears a yellow uniform.
Well, another opportunity for Miles' defense to step up here, and they do. And if I'm a Miles fan, I'm really concerned with the demeanor of number 1 right now. I mean, it's kind of like I was making a point about Jay back in the day at Howard. Never before have I seen a quarterback get into the face of his offensive lineman and will his team back to victory.
Charlie Rollins back at his 10-yard line, waiting the Travis Combs punt. Combs finally gets a decent snap, and Rollins will let this one bounce.
That's a terrific kick.
What a punt by Combs. Out inside the 2-yard line. 39-yard punt, but the yardage is not as important as placement.
Well, can Nick Smith pull a John Elway out of his hat? Did he go 99 yards against the Cleveland Browns in the AFC Championship game?
The drive.
The drive, yes.
Well,
but I think our statistician Eric Moore remembers the game where I referenced Jay Walker about. Remember the A&T homecoming game that year?
Folks, for those of you at home, Eric is nodding.
Is that what that was?
Miles at its 2-yard line, 98 yards away, trailing by 8, 4:34 left in this game here at Abbott Stadium on the campus of Tuskegee University.
How many times did we see that quarterback dive last week? That was the hot play of the day. And those are the sounds of the game right there. The Tuskegee band with a lot to cheer about, but this one's not quite over yet.
Out of the shotgun, nearly in his own end zone is Smith. Adair had it, but didn't quite hang on to it, obviously.
And see, Smith gets frustrated when his receivers don't make plays for him. And see, that was a beautiful pass. One of the few times he's been able to get a strike in there, and it hasn't been hauled in. See, look, ample protection up top. Drops it right over the linebacker in coverage. They've had wonderful plays called with linebackers on receivers, and Smith has delivered the ball, but his receivers have made nary a catch.
Smith, time to throw, has a receiver underneath.
Good catch.
Coleman coming out of the backfield. He was stopped by Frank Walker, but enough for a first down. So Miles' hopes remain alive, though they may be on life support at the moment.
Well, a nice sidearm delivery that time, laying out and making the catch that time for Miles is Tyrone Coleman. But you know, Miles going to have to pick up the pace just a little bit. They've only got 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. They've got to go about 75 yards. Field goal does them no good. They might need to think about going no huddle.
Flag on the play. Smith goes down, courtesy Joseph Martin. But let's wait and see what the flag is about. And remember, we're looking at a two-possession situation now because a two-possession deficit for Miles.
Anxious to get the call from Mr. Norman. Actually, it's an 8-point game. So a touchdown and a 2-point conversion ties it up.
But you still have a 2-point possession, 2-point deficit, because a 2-possession deficit because they need 2 possessions to take the lead.
Point well taken, but I think at this point they take the 8 points and go into overtime. Was that a look that means perish the thought?
24-16. Tuskegee leading Miles. Out of his own end zone, he gets it off to Adair. Defending on the play, and quite well, Carlos Leggins.
Well, Leggins has been a focus of the aerial attack of Miles this afternoon.
Our NBC drive of the game on the part of Tuskegee.
Tuskegee, and this is getting outside the pocket is Terrence Jones. Looking in the corner is Tyrone Jones. Getting out of the pocket, finds his receiver.
Tuskegee struggled early offensively, but this defense responded with 6 points. Courtesy Drayton Florence. Offense has been able to get into the end zone. Miles has put up quite a fight. Wade Streeter, though, not quite happy with some mental miscues by his Golden Bears. So it's 24-16, 3:22 left in this ball game here in Tuskegee, Alabama. Arch rivals.
Miles, similar to Morgan that we saw last week, Morgan State, is just a team that knows how to lose.
Miles, they're talking about it. We'll be back. He leads, 3:22 left on 3rd and 17 from out of his own end zone is Nicholas Smith. He's under pressure and goes down. Well, he actually tried to throw the ball away. And let's see what the ruling is by the officials.
It's either a safety or a touchdown.
Either way, we're looking at points for Tuskegee.
Because you can't tell me that he wasn't sacked in that situation. That's Coach Streeter laboring.
You heard Coach Streeter, folks. You could hear him.
Yeah, it's a safety because he was definitely sacked. Had to give him something in that situation.
So that's 2 points for Tuskegee, courtesy its defensive unit.
As you see, Big Nasty's up front getting a hold of Nick Smith, and that was dangerously close to being an interception, but I thought he was in the grasp.
Offensive line, y'all come here. Y'all understand where we at?
You can hear Coach Streeter.
Spirited effort by Miles, record Coach Comagy has fashioned here at Tuskegee University. And you just think about the coaching staff they had at Central with Central State, Ohio, that is. For those of you listening in North Carolina, I say Central State and Ohio. You had Rick Comagy as defensive coordinator. Billy Joe was your head coach. I think Jimmy Joe was a part of that staff, coordinating the offense.
Talk about an embarrassment of mental riches.
Indeed. And do you know who Rick Comagy coached, who's a starting defensive end right now in the NFL at Central State? Hugh Douglas.
Stanton Breaks outside at the 40. There is another flag near the 44-yard line in Miles territory.
So we should have an interesting matchup following this contest between FAMU and Delaware State.
Charlie Neal and Jay Walker will have that call for you.
You notice how Nicole got the cushy assignment this weekend.
Nicole Watson is in Las Vegas. Just everywhere. Spread out.
You never know when you're going to find Nicole. Last week I saw her, she was in the stands eating some food.
I'm sure
she had some tailgate fare.
She will appreciate you pointing that out, no doubt.
No,
an infraction against Tuskegee.
Now I point that out because Jay Walker made the comment during the course of the game that he wanted to make sure that the plate made it up to him, and I just wanted to know, did he get the plate? That's a growing young fella. Needs his meals.
Tuskegee 3:05 away from another victory. Golden Tigers will be off next week. Then they're home to Lincoln, Missouri. Miles is going to be
Joe Killen showing some frustration now. Number 5 in there just threw a forearm shiver into somebody, and he's got to watch that.
The NBC Sports most valuable players of the game. For Miles College, James Biner. For Tuskegee University, the quarterback, Terrence Jones. Been a pretty impressive effort, too, on the ground between Matthew Hazel and Cortland Florence.
Yeah, between the two of them, they've eclipsed 200 yards.
2:25 left. Jones looking to throw, and it's thrown out of bounds. Now, what he just did there is something that Nick Smith, his counterpart for Miles, has to think about doing, has to learn to do.
Yeah, and you'd like to give Terrence Jones big-time credit for that decision, but it stops the clock. Clock is your ally right now.
Coach Wade Streeter. Very disappointed probably in the apparent outcome. But he told us this was a game he did not have to get his players up for. If anything, he had to calm them down for.
And you see John Flynn comes back in the lineup.
We may have seen the last of Terrence Jones as the sophomore Flynn comes in. Rick Comagee electing to keep it on the ground as we approach the 2-minute mark. John Oliver on the stop.
Heavy hearts today in the SIAC as the conference lost their associate athletic director for media relations, Charles Mooney, a veteran sports information specialist who had been at North Carolina A&T and at Morris Brown, and for the past few years had been working in the SIAC conference office. He passed away last weekend, and we want to express our condolences to Charles Mooney's family. He will certainly be missed.
The conference has lost a friend, indeed. Charlie Rollins on the punt return, but there is a flag down near the punter, Travis Combs. So this all may be coming back. Also, as many of you may know, Bob Hayes, the great receiver, Florida A&M University, also left us this week. Boy, what a tremendous treat it was to watch him play.
And it's been really one of the tremendous treats in my life to have an opportunity to converse with him. One of the things to Tokyo, he ran 8.6. He ran an 8.600 on Cinder.
Combs the punt. Rollins will not have the opportunity to return it, but it's going to be good field position for Miles inside of Tuskegee territory near the 47-yard line.
But fathom that, DB, an 8.600.
I have no point of reference for moving that fast unless I'm powered by a car.
Well, when you think about it, the world record right now is, I think, 9.7 and some change. He was clocked in 8.6. they were down was the United States team. They were in 4th place when he got the baton, and they had won it by the time he finished. That's insane. Non-drug related, non-wind aided. It should be noted.
1st and 10 for Miles College at the 48-yard line. They trail it by 10, 26-16. Smith to the air, has a dare at the 30-yard line.
Well, Nick Smith showing some fight there.
Stopped by Drayton Florence.
Now he's got to organize his team, get the play call in from his coach. He sits in the pocket with confidence this time, and this is one of the few times he stepped up and thrown a strike, and Adair holds on to it. He and Adair seem to have a good working relationship in the passing game.
18-yard pickup. There is movement along the line and more flags. Today's game, executive produced and directed by Kurt Simmons. Game producer Lou Ranoni. Stage manager Chris Davis. Statistics provided for us up here in the booth by Eric Moore. Operations manager Lute Williams. We certainly enjoyed being here in historic Tuskegee, Alabama. Saw the Oaks at the top of the telecast, the home of Booker T. Washington. Made you stop and think for a moment as you pondered what it was really all about.
And the George Washington Carver building over there. The Peanut Man.
Lots of history at this storied university. We're inside of a minute left to go. Smith looking to the air again. Looking for Adair, but the ball. Tuskegee, of course, is the home of a number of notable alumni. Lionel Richie, the Commodore, started here. Radio personality Tom Joyner. General Chappie James.
Man, how could we forget the Tuskegee Airmen when mentioning all the glory that Tuskegee has?
The entertainer Keenan Ivory Wayans, I think, also attended Tuskegee.
Get out. I did not know that.
I think actually he was in, I think. 2nd and 5. Smith to the air. And it's long overthrown. He was looking for Johnson, but the ball was not even close to him. So now if you Wade Streeter, Mark, you have to convince them that all the energy expended on this game has to be rechanneled and refocused because the season is still relatively young. And that young man, Nicholas Smith, you've got to figure out a way to get his confidence and maturity up to speed.
I think he just needs technique work from a quarterback's coach. And fortunately for him, his coach is a quarterback's coach. And, you know, you just got to work on some techniques so he can complete a few more passes, and his receivers got to help him out.
This time he finds Ray Johnson along the near sideline. That's going to be good enough for another 1st down.
Even if Miles doesn't win this game, you have to admire their heart. They have not quit.
Smith, the ball is knocked away. Somehow he comes back up with it, rolling out, has a receiver, Johnson, and the back of the end zone, and the ball will fall well out of bounds.
Well, I thought we had a Keystone Cops break out there for a second.
So the 49th meeting between these two schools will go down as another Tuskegee victory. Tuskegee will take the lead in the overall series 37-10-1.
It's an impressive Tuskegee team. And we don't get a chance to see what much of the nation has to offer.
Bowl appearances. This particular group, now you've had a chance to watch them this week.
They're solid. Very impressive team. I haven't seen Fort Valley yet. And Fort Valley's always tough. Downtimes at Albany State, but they probably are, without a doubt, the class of the conference.
Smith looking towards the end zone again. Jerry and Peterson couldn't quite hold on to it.
That's not a bad pass. It's low. It gives only his receiver an opportunity to make the catch. And his receivers haven't made enough of them. But see, I don't like his body language. See number 1 there? His head is down, his hands on his hips. I mean, your leader is your quarterback. He is the general. Douglas MacArthur would not.
And they did put up a valiant effort. They were very much in this game, friends, for most of it, 3.5 quarters.
Defense just wore down in the 4th quarter at the most inopportune time. And we got to thank Arnold Houston and his outstanding staff here at Tuskegee University for, helping us get ready for this contest and the hospitality. And you got to also give credit to the maintenance crew here, the grounds crew here at Tuskegee for getting us power so we can go up on the board.
And another interception, and that certainly will seal it.
The coup de grace.
Stanton comes up with the interception. Arnold Houston, of course, the media relations director here at Tuskegee. You're right, he did help us tremendously. Jay Walker and Charlie Neal are standing by up in Dover, Delaware, Florida A&M and Delaware State. Rick Comagee, just another day at the office for one of the most successful coaches in the country.
He's the boss, man. That guy looks like he's in charge, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Flynn. Will hit a knee. Final seconds are winding down. Final score. Tuskegee University 26, Miles College 16. Big performance on the ground for Tuskegee University. Cortland Florence and Matthew Hazel both going over 100 yards rushing. Coaches shaking.
The Shaw University Fighting Bears won the SIAC